Let's roll, rolling Atlas Thug. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise.
And Chris.
Alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody?
I was muted that time. What's going on?
I wasn't muted because I had to add and Chris in there. The theme song. You guys might not have heard it. What's up, Chris? What's up, Atlas?
Not much, man. I'm pretty black-pilled about the latest development, but again, something that I saw coming down the line was the infighting.
Yeah.
Although, like, I thought it was going to come around the Christian foundations of what this country was. I wasn't expecting it would happen on the heels of immigration, but there's a lot to get into.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly. You see, JB said, you got to tell us who made the song for your intro. That was Atlas Thugged. He put that all together for us. So
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which what platform it was. I made it so long ago. I did it on some like random generator. They gave me like 2 tokens to use, and that's the one that I used it on.
Yeah, you made two different versions, and I like this one better, but they're both pretty cool, honestly. But tonight we're gonna get into, as you could guess, the whole the MAGA Civil War, the what they're calling the MAGA Civil War, right? I think most of the thought leaders are out there have a more common sense approach to this whole thing, and they're not really falling for it. But unfortunately, I think some of the masses are jumping on the bandwagon. But we'll get more into that. Let's see. We got. I still don't know if it's Lola Marble or LOL a Marble in chat. Nice to see you. I appreciate you commenting so much and so often on my daily videos. It's cool seeing some familiar faces pop up. JB's been doing that as well. But who else? We got Chris in chat. We also got Chris here, not in studio, but live with us tonight. So welcome in, Chris.
Thank you.
And then yeah, definitely. And then we're going to get into a few other things. Vivek statements, Bannon acolytes, the dissident right standing strong against this push. We got, other things going on, but I think the majority of this conversation is going to revolve around the MAGA Civil War, right?
Yeah.
And just me says she hasn't heard about this yet. It has to do with immigration, but like I said, we'll get more into it. I've been trying to focus on learning more about this over the last couple days, but unfortunately, yesterday midday, my computer, like if you leave it for too long, it'll go to sleep. Well, instead of going to sleep, mine decided to take a dirt bath, and essentially, I wasn't able to get it back going again until about 2:00 this afternoon. I'm kind of guessing on the time because it was all just a big jumble, but thankfully, I was able to get it up. I didn't have to try to run the show off of my 12-year-old laptop, which probably would have got the job done, but it certainly wouldn't have been as good as this one is, right? So, it turns out you have to unplug the power cord when you're resetting everything from both ends, the one that goes in the computer and the one that goes into the wall. If you just do one or the other, it doesn't make a difference. Either that or it was just lucky restart after that happened. But regardless, got it figured out, thankfully. But it took away a lot of my time it consumed a lot of my time looking into, the latest and what's going on, and if anybody's stances has changed and the newest developments with this whole, what's the bill called? The H-1B visa. Yeah. The H-1B visa, which is pretty much what this whole MAGA Civil War revolves around. But joined tonight by Atlas Thug. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff, and then we'll just go ahead and jump right into it?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Atlas Thugged. I'm also, you can see there on screen at Atlas_Thugged_ on X. Although, with the recent censorship on X, who knows how long I will be there for, because I'm obviously counter signaling and dissenting against Elon, Vivek, and all the group that's already received backlash for that. But I don't hold it up too much. Chris, where can they find you at?
They can find me at Chatting with Sasquatch on YouTube. I'm on Rumble and Vocals as well. On X, you can find me at cstock1976. And just chilling with you guys tonight. So.
Nice. Well, it's nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. We had a nice long discussion in the Discord today. Actually, we had a group of like 5-6 people in there for a couple hours, just chatting away about what's going on today and some of the issues and stuff. It was actually a rather enjoyable, productive conversation. Chris was in there and JB was in there, and I don't know if anybody else in chat was in there. Jamie was there, but I don't see her in chat this evening. Hopefully she stops by at some point.
I'm sure she will. I posted the links on our Discord too. So
cool. TNT, I don't want to spoil the surprise. Yeah, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and pull up this first one. So basically, from what I understand, it all started from Elon's this Elon post, right? Is that what it all started and revolved around? At least
so it was. So this was like a developing thing. This was started actually, I believe it was either a couple posts that happened before Christmas, and then through Christmas, and then on to where we're at today. So it's actually been like developing over time and gotten more traction because obviously people during Christmas and the holidays like aren't paying attention to social media, which is kind of wild to think that this is when this incident occurred. And then now it's carried the momentum even further. So it's taken the entire thing by storm. And just to give like an idea and to spoil a bit of the surprise, because I saw TNT seems to know a bit of what's going on too. What we're dealing with is not only just censorship, we're dealing with Elon crashing out online. It's the most emotional I've ever seen him be. We're also dealing with a bunch of counter signaling, and we're dealing with the larger schism that exists in the MAGA base. So what you're really seeing is like the tech right versus like what people are now calling like the right, which is really just a battle between like the donor class as well as the actual original base of MAGA. H-1B visas is like the main thing that's being pushed at, right? The main kind of thing that's being counter signaled, the main talking point. And the reality of it is really that the H-1B visa is a mechanism of a specific force or kind of labor in which a foreigner can come over under the guise of this work visa to work in the United States. And obviously people not only just have to apply for them, but the company has to host them too. There's like a process in which that there's been a lot of like fraud that's been uncovered with these things. But the point stands that the argument here is that we need H-1B visas because, as Elon's arguing, the American people are either one, A, too lazy, B, they're retarded, or C, that they're just unwilling to educate the American people to fill the jobs. So there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of moving parts. But the bigger obfuscation that's happening is that it's under the guise of we want more legal immigration because America, most people believe, and I don't share this belief, but most people believe that America should always be polling like the top 0.01% of skilled labor from around the world because we want to better the country. However, that's not what H-1B visas are for. That's what O-1 visas are for, and that's what EB visas are for. So there's this push for H-1B visas, even though H-1B visas are things for like custodial work, like field workers. Sometimes they're very frivolous, like even like jobs like golf cart managers and random things. So foreigners are getting into the country and taking these kinds of jobs under H-1B visas, which are jobs that any ordinary American can fill. But this whole argument kind of boils down, because it's kind of shown and taken a mask off of a lot of these kind of like tech bro, Silicon Valley adjacent guys kind of feel about the American people. And it kind of stems from the fact that we've all kind of agreed, not only have American men in particular kind of like been dropping out of college, white men in particular, like at very high rates, being discriminated against in the workforce on DEI grounds. But now we've arrived to this point, well, because all these things happened and there's less American men in these fields and they're not educated, well, we'll just go ahead and like import more foreigners to make up for that. And so really it kind of boils down to the fact of, on basis of prioritizing GDP, economic output, and how tech companies are currently ran over what's in the best interest for the American people. So there's so much to kind of like to break down in this too. I don't want to go too far off on a tangent if we just start breaking some of these posts down. But I do want to say I appreciate it very much. Titan Tight for the super chat. He says, I kneel to Christ, not America. They keep us bickering with this race stuff. Culture is the actual enemy here. Cheers, buddy. I appreciate it very much. And that seems to be what the push is being. Really, essentially, anybody opposing immigration on the grounds of wanting to keep America closer to its actual roots, as Elon said in a post, is an unrepentant racist and needs to be purged from the movement. And so that's essentially where we are. And this just piggybacks off of what I had long been thinking would happen, which would be there would be a huge implosion on the right. And I predicted it would happen after Trump won his presidency, because there's too many little factions inside of the MAGA movement. And now we're at a point where we are so ideologically opposed to one another that it's just not going to work. And there's no amount of like Trump just being that figure, that aura, that charismatic guy that's going to be able to continue to unite people on these fronts when these differences keep occurring and going. But there's plenty to get into, and we'll just start kind of knocking them out.
Yeah, I see. I wanted to highlight this comment here from Phil. Have people been asleep for the past several years? Trump spoke on this in his first term. This has been going on for a while now, and there is nothing wrong with it. And then he followed that up by saying, anyone have an issue when we took the best, brightest scientists from Nazi Germany? All of a sudden now people are hearing about something that has been around for a while. And I remember Donald Trump saying during his campaign that he didn't like how people were coming to our country, getting, college degrees in some of the top fields, and then going back to their own country and becoming, billionaires and working there and everything like that. And I remember him saying something about, and he might have actually went back on this. So you guys can correct me if he did, or let me know if he did. But I remember him saying that, you know what I mean, that he didn't like the fact that people were coming here using our education system to enrich themselves in their own home countries, and that they should, I believe he followed it up by saying that they should stay here and, better the country that provided the education to them, essentially. Like I said, I could be wrong, and he might have taken that back, but I do remember him making that one of his talking points for a bit. See here, team. Go ahead.
We'll pick up specifically on what Phil said, not only in that second statement, but the first one. Mm-hmm. Trump said in 2016, actually explicitly, that H-1B visas need to be done away with. It was actually one of his talking points. He kind of went back and forth on a little bit. Ultimately, though, late in the primaries there in 2016, I believe it was around March, is when he actually came forward and said, no, we need to do away with H-1Bs, and specifically talking about the fact that he had used them before and he knows it hurts the American worker. So Trump's stance in 2016 was that we should do away with the H-1B visa system. And now here we are in 2024 with all of the close advisors close to him. There was an article in the New York Post, which I've come to find is kind of like, we'll get into it, seems to be a bit of fake news, but it's being pushed as right now that Trump has now changed his stance and thinks that H-1B visas are a good thing. But he referenced his own workers at Mar-a-Lago, I would assume, not really knowing that his workers at Mar-a-Lago are all J-1B visas, or they're just JB visas. There's so many of these, it's kind of ridiculous. But there's some kind of fake news revolving around that. I think we're yet to know like what Trump's actual like kind of stance is on this. But right now, it seems that he is probably on the verge of selling out on that original 2016 position.
Okay. So I'm still kind of torn about this whole thing. I've been trying to educate myself on it as much as I can. I've reposted some of Elon Musk's kind of follow up to this, and it seems like he maybe is kind of going back a little bit, but retreating a little bit. But I'm not 100% sure if that's what he's doing or not. But maybe he's just making himself more clear. But I believe he came over on one of these visas himself whenever he because he's born in South Africa, right? And so I believe he came over on one of these visas himself, and he's talking about the 0.01% essentially of people. I think that what he was kind of saying here. Let me actually just go to my profile. I've been retweeting stuff about the Chiefs and commenting on baseball stuff, so I'll spare you guys some of that. But let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, I had to tell a guy to F off earlier.
Over the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah. This dude, ESPN's Ryan Clark, he's a joker, man. He's a race baiting fool, and I had to tell him to F off because he's all right. We're just gonna go off on a tangent for a second while I look for this. He's up here on the show talking to Cam. So he's up on his show talking to Cam Newton, and he's talking about Lamar Jackson, and then he goes into this and he's talking about black quarterbacks historically. We need this, and it's just like, what do you mean we? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, are you not? I didn't say this part, but this is basically how I feel. Is Patrick Mahomes not black enough for you? Since he's only half black, that he doesn't count like in your stats or whatever. So. Anyways,
there's been so many great black quarterbacks. I mean, come on, Randall Cunningham, Steve McNair.
I know you don't even have to name them. The sports fans are way beyond this type of thought. You can't be a sports fan and be this type of racist that this guy is projecting everybody to be in the leagues to be, simply because of the diversity that's going on in every single freaking sport, right? So, it's just stupid. It's one of the dumbest takes ever.
But it's on ESPN, so it really shouldn't surprise you.
Right. So I had to tell him to F off. I edited out a bunch of my other stuff, but so I simplified it to that. I mentioned Mahomes.
Marcus Young said Tim Pool is a sellout too. Everybody's jumping on that bandwagon, and everybody's kind of jumping to the conclusion that he's sold out to the Daily Wire. I'm like, well, how about you just wait till the first and see what they say before jumping to conclusion.
Yeah, I hear you.
I am of the position though. I do think he definitely sold out to the Daily Wire. I think you can see kind of like that written on the wall with what was it, Vince James, who was given a kind of he was invited onto the show by Cassandra Fairbanks. He's obviously in that kind of Nick Fuentes crowd, very oppositional to the Daily Wire. And then he had the rug pulled on him, was told, hey, no, you can't come. And Tim Pool was like, I think he said something like, there's some issue with his mom. They didn't reschedule him. And then Cassandra Fairbanks was fired shortly thereafter. And there's a few other instances where you can kind of see that they refuse to go into detail about specific topics that kind of would lend itself to having the same kind of guidelines as if you were actually working for the Daily Wire already. And he's always had a close connection to them too. So I don't think it's too much of a reach to think that he would give some portion of his operation over to the Daily Wire. I think that's like the easier conclusion to come to rather than like he's not selling out or doing something like that. But like you said, though, we'll see on the first, I imagine what that announcement is about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that announcement myself. I can't find this post, unfortunately. Yeah, as far as Tim Pool goes, watch it be something completely different. I mean,
it'll be Chicken City related.
I have no idea really what it's going to be. I have a hard time. He made this statement about Brett Cooper leaving the Daily Wire, and he said, you're not losing a voice on the conservative side on the MAGA movement or whatever. You're actually gaining a new voice with her replacement, as she's basically sidestepping into her own adventure. Brett Cooper is. And so, with that, you'd think that if he consolidates his whole company with the Daily Wire, that that would be kind of contrary to, you know, gaining voices or whatever. Maybe he's going to announce a new show. You know, I don't know. I really, it's all speculation at this point. And if I was him, I'd have a lot of fun trolling, playing to the speculation and dropping hints that aren't even relevant and stuff like that. But that's just me. I'd play into it if I was him.
And I think he's been playing a little bit. He's being smart about it. He's making money off of X by doing it.
Yeah, he does it for a lot of the stuff he does for engagement. He's kind of wild. His X account's always been that way.
Yeah. Oh, he said he's not talking about Temple selling out to the Daily Wire. He's talking about how they're covering for Elon for literally censoring Laura Loomer on X. He is calling it a psyop BS. Yeah, and actually I do have those posts. I went and reposted a bunch of stuff just so I could save it just here in this last hour, really.
Well, it's not even just Tim Pool. Charlie Kirk came out and said something along the lines of it.
Yeah, Patrick Bet David did too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where's the Temple one? I just scrolled past it. Oh, Hodge twins are out there doing it as well. But let's see here. This is what Temple said. Let's put it on the screen. Oh, let me click on that. There we go. See if I can make it any bigger. Oh, that's just making that's making my StreamYard page bigger.
Oh yeah, you got to do it on the right page.
Yeah, it was selected on the wrong one. Goodness. Anyways, it says Elon bought Twitter. That sucks. Let's do it like this. Elon bought Twitter and brought back shitloads of really good people. All the complaints right now mean jack shit considering his actions gave us the Twitter files and helped uncover illegal and unconstitutional government collusion. There's a concerted effort to rip apart the coalition that just delivered Trump a popular mandate, and people need to chill and recognize that. We can have a meaningful debate on these issues, and while, of course, censorship is bad, we have to avoid disruption before we even get solid policy wins. Excuse me. So, he posted that today, this morning, so about 8 hours ago. And then you have folks like, you're gonna just get to see me scrolling. Hodge Twins said, telling you right now, all this division seems coordinated. The deep state wants MAGA divided. They don't want Trump and Elon to be aligned. Everybody agrees the visa system for immigrant workers is broke and needs to be fixed. Elite immigrants should be able to come to the U.S. and work in jobs that Americans can't do. I'm curious to know what jobs those are, unless it involves speaking another language. I don't believe there's any job that an American can't do. But if you don't have elite skills, then you can't come here on a work visa and take a job that an American can do. Focus on the big stuff and don't fall for the division. Deport all illegals, cut government spending, and make America great again, which, they did a good job ending it with an agreeable statement. But I will agree that the division might seem coordinated because they originally, now let's go back to this here. They originally tried to, because this is kind of like the 0.0 part of it. They originally were saying that Elon is going to be the real president and not Donald Trump, right? They're trying to
they still are.
They're still trying to, but that was what they did first, and then this followed it. So, it's very obvious that they're trying to sow seeds of disdain and divisiveness. Let's see here. The only person that I've seen is actually Scott Pressler, and he's probably has the wisest take on this so far. Let me put this on the screen. He said, if we divide ourselves before Congress is sworn in and limit our ability to reach a consensus candidate for Speaker of House, we'll have a repeat of 2017 Paul Ryan, and you will get nothing. Choose wisely. So, he seems to be focused on some of the more important things. But here we have Patrick Bet David also, I don't want to say selling out, but just, I don't know, right? A lot of right-wing people are going after Elon Musk, Vivek, and Kash Patel right now. Don't do that. You look dumb. And you got community noted, I see. That one's actually not a community note. I'm in the program where I can rate proposed community notes.
Gotcha.
So I'll just show you. I can click onto it and it'll show you. The debate is concerning H-1B temporary workers visas and has nothing to do with Kash Patel, nor was he mentioned. And I think that's actually true. I don't think Kash Patel has been brought into this at all. But then it gives a source, and then I can say, is this helpful or not? It's actually helpful. So I'll go ahead.
Yeah, so I agree. Pressler is the reason Trump won Pennsylvania.
Right.
So, well, here's the thing: is I disagree with almost all of those guys. I disagree with Charlie Kirk. Disagree with Tim Pool. Disagree with PBD. I think that was the parody account, but PBD said similar. I disagree with.
Oh, dang it! That was the parody account. Yeah, I gotta.
Yeah, well, they're pretty similar when it comes to like when push comes to shove. So
I hate the parody accounts. I mute them all. I hate them.
But like the division's always been there.
Good catch.
Right?
They
What?
trick you.
I know.
Sorry.
They make their account names super long so you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is like we made this party too big to rig. Right, that was the talking point. Big Tent conservatism was largely led by TPUSA, and this isn't to take away from any of like the people who like push to get do the grasswork like effort to get the voting. This is more about the fact that we're ideologically opposed. This isn't the left doing anything. I actually kind of really I'm really disappointed that that's the takes they're making. And again, Marcus Young has got a lot of good comments in here too. There was a targeted, coordinated effort to censor a lot of the accounts that were dissenting against this initially. I know I highlighted a lot of this in the outline too. There was a guy who had like 300 followers who ratioed Elon Musk on a post he made about the H-1B visas, who got suspended for it. Laura Loomer had her check mark removed. Owen Schroyer had his check mark removed. Cassandra Fairbanks had her check mark removed. Roz Alerts had their check mark removed. Anybody affiliated with conservative.org had their check marks removed. They're being labeled as spam. Because they keep counter signaling on the same H-1B visa stuff because they're pushing hard against a lot of the stuff that's coming through that's a lot of BS. And I'm no fan of Laura Loomer by any means, but I am a really good fan of Owen Schroyer. And the same thing with Cassandra Fairbanks as well. I appreciate them a lot. Roz Alerts has always done really good work. They gained a lot of notoriety during the East Palestine incident. They were reporting a bunch of stuff on there. They built a good following from that with the train crash. The issue comes then when it's not even just these guys. More accounts have been hit from that. There's a lot of instances like, we agree with them or not, the whole Project Groip, right, which was like the organization gold checkmark group that was the like Groiper lieutenants, right? People who are loosely associated with Nick Fuentes, their entire thing got banned. All those accounts got nuked off the platform a couple of days ago. No one can see anything from them either. It's like no one has any kind of information. They can be like, we don't even know why these guys got banned. The whole organization got nuked. And the checkmark removal, and then Laura Loomer specifically had her subscriptions turned off, and then all of her followers got a message saying that Laura Loomer herself canceled her subscriptions. So she did a couple tours on Spaces talking about like I don't understand what's going on to me. Like I'm being censored for these reasons. They're lying about what happened to me. She said, I think the official story that they're giving is that she doxed somebody, but she posted an FEC document that's publicly available when she even went out of her way to actually block the information. She like pixelated it so you can't see any of the information. So she even like did double standard on that when many other citizen journalists have posted FEC documents before, didn't get hit with doxes. And you have a kind of conflicting like narrative here too, where you have like, and go back to Nick Fuentes. I mean, he was doxed on the platform. His address and other private information was available, like hundreds of millions of views, being reposted and shared, and was up for hours. I think it was even over a day. And no action was taken. And then this dissent happens within a couple hours from Laura Loomer and these conservative pundit groups, and they're gone instantly. I mean, accounts suspended, instantly gone. And so, it, when there's a will, there's a way. And so it shows that some things obviously take priorities over others. And it's not even a defense of Fuentes. I know a lot of people probably disagree with them or have their opinions of him, but it's just to show that there is clearly a selective way to honor the rules, right? It's like selective enforcement.
It's just a well-known example. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right. And so and now the thing that kind of bothers me too is now that you see Tim Pool and Charlie Kirk, again, to go back to them calling this a psyop to separate MAGA, this isn't time to drive a wedge between Elon and Trump. I actually am assuming that Trump actually agrees with Elon on this, and that he probably did back away from his original stance about H-1B visas. So this isn't like a wedge Elon away from Trump. This is like they're on one side. Trump has sided with the donor class. He largely had to, because he needed money this time around for the election. He was fighting so many of these bullshit cases.
Yeah.
He had to figure out a way to make sure his campaign could run very efficiently. And now it's still like the American people. So at the end of the day, you have like the American people who have always been felt forgotten about, and at worst, like they feel like being discriminated against outright, now being like left behind again. And even if it is with all the illegal immigration, right? People obviously don't want the illegal immigration, but because the illegal immigration has come at such a heavy amount, to tie that with people also don't believe the sentiment that we're going to get mass deportations outside of obviously violent criminals. People aren't willing to even accept a small, even minor portion of more legal immigration, especially ones with the H-1B visas, which they, out on average, I think an H-1B visa undercuts an American median wage by 18%. So there's huge costs, again, to the American people all around about this. But they argue it in the sense of, well, how are we going to compete with China? How is our tech industry going to develop if we don't hire these people? And it all kind of boils down to the fact of being unwilling to even educate the American people. But also, on the other hand, 5 months ago, saying, oh, yeah, no, DEI was pretty bad. Yeah, we know the American, especially white men, have been kind of discriminated against. Well, there's nothing we can do now. These are the consequences. And we have to keep it going. And people just like, that doesn't vibe well with the people. And it kind of falls back to the fact of, you know, it's like making it wrong that a country should prioritize its own citizens for whatever reason. The country should prioritize its own citizens before it prioritizes foreigners, no matter what the economic output may be. And then there's obviously other smaller arguments too, with like, you know, destroying the culture. You kind of like water down the fact we're already not a Christian nation. We've walked away from a lot of these sentiments. And this is only going to be adding more, you know, wood to the fire.
Yeah. I wanted to read a couple comments here and get caught up. Marcus Young said, by the way, I'm new here. Y'all just showed up on my feed. Thanks for reading my comments. LOL, I'm definitely subbing. Y'all seem pretty cool and not overly biased. Well, appreciate you being here. I'm glad you clicked, man. And honestly, hope you're still here, but I like your last name. So anyways, then Phil said that he agreed. It's a great channel. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And it's nice to see some new faces here. And I want to take this opportunity to let you guys know we do have a Discord. So we're kind of a little growing family over, and the Discord is the link is in the description if you guys are in the Discord realm, right? So let's see. Also, if you guys are watching on X, make sure you repost this video, please. It helps us reach more a bigger audience. Then let's see here. Let me get caught up on some more of these. All these folks are. Let me see. TNT said he hates those damn parody accounts. Yeah, man, I mute them all. I hate them. They always trick me. Marcus said all these folks are quiet about Elon damning Laura's account for speaking out against it, though. Jack Dorsey did this. They would have been calling out the censorship. Yeah, that's a good point. And, you know, the way that Tim Pool framed that was he led in with, and I like Tim, but he led in with some of the good things that Elon has done in the past. I don't know what the hell that is, but in the past, same thing. And I don't like when, like, it's okay to appreciate the good things that people have done in the past, right? But this whole mandate that we've set to Trump this time around is that good enough isn't good enough, right? And we're not satisfied with the most recent thing or something that you've done in the past. We're more concerned about what are you going to do for me next? What are you going to do for the Americans next? How are you going to make our lives better? And it's going to be 4 years from my perspective of holding their feet to the fire. And if they do something wrong, I'm going to call them out. And if they do something right, we'll pat them on the back. And then we'll say, okay, what next? We want the best. We want the very absolute best. And, you know, that's why I was against the whole the bill that they just signed. What was it called? The
continuation bill?
Yeah, the continuing resolution or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah, Trump was saying it's good enough when they revised it the first time. And I'm like, no, I don't want good enough. I want the very best. And so that's the standard that we're setting over here. AJ, I appreciate you being in here. I don't know if we recognize AJ. I don't recognize AJ. If you've been here in the past, I forget. Forgive me for not remembering, but it's just to rattle people's cages, and it's not working. No civil war. Everyone is entitled to have a discussion and disagree with your own party. Nothing wrong with that. It's all politics and business, and I agree with that. That's something that you're allowed to do on the right, which is challenge the thought leaders, challenge the leadership, and you're not, at risk of being kicked out of the party or kicked out of the group or whatever. Just unlike what it is on the left, if you challenge any of the narrative that the left presents, they're very quick to kick you out. Look at what they just did to Lindy Lee. You might not know who Lindy Lee is, but she is a woman who raised millions of dollars for Kamala Harris under the guise that she was winning in the polls, that Kamala Harris was leading Donald Trump in the polls. And you come to find out, now that we know, they were putting people up in 5-star hotels. They were spending the money that her donors donated. They were wasting it. And they had her out there fundraising for the DNC and Kamala Harris under a false premise that Kamala Harris was doing much, much better than she actually was. And they knew that she wasn't doing as good as she was, right? Or that she was doing worse than what they were presenting, I should say. And so now that Lindy Lee is out here saying, my donors were duped and it's, kind of on me, her speaking, she's dissatisfied, and the left is calling her every name in the book. You know what I mean? They've turned on her. And so it's like, if you're going to turn somebody that was literally raising millions of dollars for your party, something that you guys aren't willing to do, welcome to the Republican Party. Welcome to the America First Party, Lindy Lee. Now you understand who you are raising money for, and those people don't give a shit about anything that you did, unless you remain in the cult. You got to stay within the rules. But on this side, the conversation is welcome, and that's how we grow. That's how we get better, and that's what I like about X currently, is that we're allowed to have this discussion. We're supposed to, at least, with everything that Elon has done and X has done with Laura Loomer. It's kind of thrown a wrench in that system. But the good ideas are allowed to be expressed, and the bad ideas, we can discuss them. The good ones will rise to the top, and the bad ones will fall to the bottom and hopefully be shunned from society and not retreat to an echo chamber. But let's see here. Matt Gates on X. House Leotardo, good to see you. I saw you wished everybody, said hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. We had a good one. All of our stuff kind of was the days before Christmas, and then Christmas Day was kind of pretty chill. We just sat around and ate extra food and stuff, leftovers. But hope you guys had a good Christmas as well. But he posted, he said here, Matt Gates on X, we welcome the tech bros. They came running our way to avoid the third grade teacher picking their kids' gender, and the obvious Biden-Harris economic decline. We didn't ask them to engineer the immigration policy we didn't ask them to engineer an immigration policy. That was from Matt Gates. And then Marcus Young. This is a good point. Now we see who are actually MAGA versus just the opportunists.
Yeah, well, Let me say a point to that too.
Go ahead.
Elon Musk is somebody who voted for Joe Biden in 2020. He literally arrived in the Republican Party like 5 months ago, and now this is somebody who thinks he should be dictating who and what the direction of this party should be. Mm. I also find it hard to believe that the smartest man in the world is somebody who was duped into voting for Joe Biden in 2020, more so rather than it probably was in 2020. Joe Biden's policies would have been the one that would have been most beneficial to Elon Musk. That's probably how he saw it from a financial perspective. And that's also what gives a lot of this kind of this high tension. I know people can, obviously we're going to have free discussions. It's not going to be like a civil war in terms of like the kinetic sense. It's more so just hyperbole. But the tension also exists with people like Tim Pool, again, someone who's here proxy the fact that they're not a true Republican. He's somebody who was definitely like a more right-leaning libertarian. He's moved to that position on guns specifically, but he definitely does have a lot more kind of lefty positions. Again, now being kind of heralded as like somebody on the right as his top position. And again, all this kind of falls under the fact of a lot of these people are here by proxy of the fact that their liberal counterparts and much more left counterparts went so batshit insane and had such terrible ideas and went off the rocker that they moved further to the right. And so now it's all these people here who are kind of like hijacking the original kind of spirit of the movement of MAGA, and then now dictating on everybody else. Actually, all this dissent is an op. Don't fall for it. It's like, you just got here. It's like some of these points have been being made for the last like 10 years. Like you just weren't here to hear it out. And so that's what kind of gives like this bit more of like anger fueling to it, is because now people see these high level individuals saying everything that they're saying that they disagree with is like, oh, that's just coming from a place of hate. Like, you just must hate Indians. And it's like, this is the same stuff that we couldn't stand about the left in the first place, which was like, hey, like we don't want transgender and this trans stuff in schools. And it's like, what, you hate trans people? It's like, no, it's like we're literally morally and ideologically opposed to the values you're trying to impose on us. To kind of reduce all of that to a hatred or such a base level hatred is so dishonest and disingenuous. And that's what causes these kind of like these conflicts. But now we're getting the people who moved here recently into this movement now saying the same things. Now I know Tim Pool has been a bit longer, but Elon Musk in particular, and a lot of the tech bros that followed him in that smaller kind of Silicon Valley adjacent group, it's like, no, it's like you're still trying to impose these liberal ideas, these classical liberal ideas that was the base form that the left originally manipulated to get to where we are right now. It's like at a certain point we have to stop trying to implement the original like cudgel that was used against everybody in the first place. Like, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. And I see Phil said here, regardless, this is exactly what the establishment wants out of us. We took the bait, and he hasn't been even sworn in yet, or hasn't been sworn in yet. I wouldn't even entertain this. We have other issues like 20 million illegals. Yeah, definitely. It's something that we need to address and discuss for clarity and things like that, because if you just go with the narrative, you might end up believing the narrative sometimes, I guess. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Player, League of Legends, the best League of Legends player said Elon is not MAGA. Yeah, well, I grew up in Kansas. The state next door is Missouri, and their motto is the show me state. So I have a bit of that in me as well. I've said this before, but I apply that to Vivek as well. You know, these people, they're newcomers to the party. They got a lot to prove, and if they maintain the current, and I kind of hesitate to say the current rate as per what we're discussing right now, but I'll just say it, their current projection for the next 4 years, then yeah, that will have proven it a little bit. You've shown me over a decent amount of time, right? Still reserving judgment. I like what Vivek has said for the most part. We have Kavari here said, Trump took so much money from these billionaires. What did you expect? That's a good point. Hopefully Donald Trump is his own man and his own president this time. He doesn't try to appease the masses and try to make the Democrats love him like he did the first time. And he just basically, like I said a little bit ago, just nose to the grind, or whatever that phrase is, and keeps pushing for the betterment of our country and the people that live in it. He has a lot to address, and you know, that he isn't too influenced by these billionaires, right? Which, it's interesting. Him, Vivek, and Elon are each billionaires in their own accord. So I find it hard to believe that they're in this to enrich themselves. I believe that Elon has a bit of a vendetta against the Democrats because what they did to Tesla in California, what they did to his son, who wants to be called, you know, women pronouns and stuff like that. He has a bit of a personal, a bit of his own investment, you know, or whatever. And like I said, they're so rich, they don't need the money. You know what I mean? Donald Trump doesn't need to be doing this to enrich himself. As a matter of fact, I saw some numbers the other day. He's one of the first presidents in a long time to actually come out with a net worth lower than he went in to the presidency into his term with. And so Trump has actually taken a loss, and it's a significant loss, or at least he did the first time. Granted, which this is something that's a complete side note, but he did make billions of dollars off of Truth Social, but he has Twitter to thank for that. He has cancel culture to thank for that, right? The old guard. And that was the pendulum swinging back for him. And it was a big win for people that support Trump, in my opinion, at least. But excuse me.
The watchdog profile picture. I just wanted to say that, by the way.
What was that?
His profile picture is of Watchdogs, the one you got on screen there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, great game.
Oh, cool. Just me added. All my Twitter and X accounts have been permanently suspended without any warning, without any explanation, and without any appeals process. I finally gave up on trying to have an X account. Yeah. A lot of people didn't get their X accounts back. It was only the Alex Joneses and the Donald Trumps of the world, and the people with a more clout, more pull, essentially, they got their accounts back. Okay, cool. Yeah, Marcus said he's still here, forever young. That's right, dude. X is much of a free speech. X is as much of a free speech platform, or isn't. Sorry, I'm ruining your comment. Just me, but she said X is not as much of a free speech platform as everyone thinks it is. That's true. It's much better than it was, but yeah, it's not an absolute free speech platform. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're so behind on comments. We have to start flying through them. We got a lot of good ones in here.
Right. Donnie Brooks said he missed the guest introduction, but it's nice to see a man with a real beard on the podcast. Yeah, Donnie, this is Chris he's in the Discord, Chris Stockum. He has his own channel. You guys, by the way, I made everything in haste today, so I forgot to put the link to his channel in the description. I'm going to do that here before in the next few minutes. I'll add Chris's link to the description. But if you join the Discord, you can find all that stuff in the Discord as well. We have a nice little collection of content creators actually joining. We had somebody join late last night that does music video reactions. So a lot of you guys don't know that,
nice.
But yeah, he does that. He's got a decent little following too. But we're just a community trying to help each other out. That's what it's going to take from people like our side. We have these type of comments with these conversations, and we're more reluctant to support each other because we recognize that we are more divided, or at least we let the things that we don't agree on affect us a lot more. Well, I don't know if I say actually that's true. The left, you're either in or out. What I guess I'm trying to say is if you're a lefty account and the people find out that you're a lefty account, they subscribe. So they're all in for you. I've been witnessing it with one of my friends who is a progressive channel, right? The dude's killing it. He started a new channel. I was telling you about him last week, actually. He started a new channel, and I think two of his first videos went for like 600,000 and 300,000 views. I mean, it's definitely the finger on the scale. But it's why we on the right need to help each other out. And, just America first type, really. I say on the right.
Yep.
Let's see here. Technically, America first is America first, or it's not. Say what now? I don't know if I recognize you. Thanks for being here, but exactly, America first is America first, or it's not. They should just change the name to Almost America First. But those H1B, that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. That was solid. That's how it feels. I agree.
One of the things that we touched on in our conversation on Discord earlier was how the culture has changed so much.
We have the story from. Oops, sorry.
With
Go ahead.
Back when we were kids, McDonald's and fast food and jobs like that were for kids coming out of high school to start to get learning experience for jobs, as a stepping stone to the next experience. And now you have people that are trying to use those as full-time jobs to live off of because they either dropped out of school and don't have any other life skills to fall back on, or, just the economy was bad enough that they couldn't find anything else. And that's not what those jobs were meant for. They weren't supposed to be livable wage jobs.
Right.
No, you're
Sorry,
exactly right.
sorry,
They're
Chris,
meant to be like
I'm typing.
but you're fine. They're meant to be like temp jobs at most, right? Like seasonal, you don't even hold them for that long, even part time, and a lot of times it's just like enough to like help you pay for schooling or extra things like that too. But I think when you have like the merger of like the welfare state that we have, and a lot of things like that, people have grown to be extremely entitled into what they think they deserve. Um, and I think that that stretches across a lot of different things. Although the one thing I will say is it's once you have a couple of states that kind of go forward on the state minimum wage, and say like Seattle, Washington, California, Utah, they all go ahead and they're like, you know what, we will pay $25 an hour for McDonald's workers. What immediately devalues, it's like a competition, right? It immediately devalues all the other McDonald's positions in the rest of the country, and then people are less likely to work them because then all of a sudden there's more money being inputted and those economies start to inflate, and it just there's a huge effect across the country, which is why I think that there should be some kind of like federal implementation on specific jobs and classifications on jobs as such too, because it would just like it just bucks the system when like one state can decide, yeah, where we pay $30 an hour for McDonald's workers, because obviously the US dollar is not even just nationwide, it's global, and so it has impacts across the rest of the economy when states like go forward and push for that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going through some of these chats here. Some really good chats. I appreciate everybody's comments, and sorry I can't keep up, but it's nice to see the chat rolling. Like I said, we can always continue these conversations in the Discord. We actually, like I said, we had a nice voice call today. That was cool. But Marcus said, Elon said we MAGA people should be rooted out the Republican Party. I took offense to that. Elon just got here 5 minutes ago and trying to tell us how to MAGA. Right. And I think you referred to that earlier, actually. There, Earl's daughter is here. Earl's daughter is in the house. Glad you finally made it live. You popped in. I think last time I saw you, you popped in right at the end. So, which we appreciate.
Right.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I agree. Angry Yeti said, Yeti says McDonald's would automate before they pay that kind of money, and they've already started doing that. They've got 3 automated McDonald's now. I know one's in San Antonio, Texas, was the first one, I believe.
Yeah, well, White Castle's done like full automation. There's a couple White Castles here in Ohio that are fully automated. Yeah, it operates kind of like a big old vending machine. It's like a little massive storefront. You can watch it like the sliders being made and then slid out. Nobody's inside at all. I think they probably have one person who checks in occasionally, but that's the route they will go. They will maintain their profit margins somehow. It just matters if like the technology catches up or not.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. I feel like this could very well be the Achilles heel for the America First movement. I hope not. I hope it's just a healthy discussion that we all can come out on top of, and Trump makes the right decisions whenever it comes time to make those decisions. He's going to have a busy pen the first couple days. I tell you what, it's getting closer. Well, we're about 3 weeks away from the inauguration, and we're just a week away from the official, like, hopefully we don't get any nonsense like from Kamala Harris certifying the election here and stuff like that. But
well, I mean, there's probably a lot of people who feel the same way that I do. For me, one of the big things was like the abortion topic. If like, as a Christian conservative, we can't even hold the line on a federal abortion ban and getting rid of stuff like that. I just like obviously become, what's the word, like disenfranchised with the movement entirely. And it could be the Achilles heel, because part of me feels like the fact of like, okay, like I did my part, like I got Trump in, I did the pragmatic thing. It was like, obviously Kamala would have been worse for governance as a whole. It's like, but now it's like, we either do like what the American people want, or it's like you instantly don't have my support. And it's like, this isn't like a friend, like when I'm trying to make friends here, it's like I have a daughter who's like a couple months old. It's like I'm trying to figure out like what is the best choices for me, myself, my family, my people, my community, all of that. Like all of that reigns supreme over like making like friends in this kind of political ecosystem.
yeah, I see here. House Leotardo makes a good point. There's always been a battle in the GOP. The Rockefeller Republicans versus the Birch Society, the neocons versus the Buchanan Brigade, and the Ron Paul Revolution, and now it continues, right? And that's been one of the problems with the Republican Party, you know, just even in the recent history, is that there's always those couple people that go and vote along with the Democrats, and it's never the Democrats coming over and voting with the Republicans. I guess with the exception of this last bill that Mike Johnson used Democrat voters to get through with the continuing resolution. But that just goes to show it wasn't really a Republican bill, in my opinion. But I don't even really care for the Republicans as that much either. Like I try to really be specific. That I don't like the establishment at all. There's just a few good ones out there, and Thomas
Massey needs to start a new party out for a long time.
Yeah, Thomas Massey is my favorite. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a new party rise, and maybe that's what the MAGA party is. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, nobody's ever going to be 100% satisfied, just because we're all different.
Yeah, well, as much as I would hope for something like that, Libertarian Party garnered a lot more percentage votes this time around, and then they voted for Chase Oliver, who was somebody who celebrated when Donald Trump got banned off of social media, shoved off into obscurity. He celebrated things like face masks and the vax and all of that stuff, you know, homosexuality. It just sucks. It's like there's anytime we do try to push for like maybe there should be a third party, it ends up either being entirely hijacked by the worst of who's like the independents, or it entirely kind of derails into something because the leader of said party, like with Chase Oliver, is like a complete moron and then just does everything a disservice, and people just kind of then get that feeling of like, we can't do the third party, we just got to keep pushing into our own.
Right. Yeah, that Chase Oliver pick from the Libertarian Party was I didn't see that one coming, that's for sure. Marcus Young dropped a 5. Man, I appreciate you. He said you guys have my respect. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate you you being here and being a part of the conversation.
Did you guys set up a locals yet by chance?
I have one, but I don't use it. I was posting to it early on, but I quit messing with it. I have a hard enough time keeping up posting my videos, my daily videos onto Rumble.
Yeah.
Which we are streaming on Rumble right now. I have been able to get the streams up.
I'll be doing locals in Rumble.
Yeah.
I would imagine they're probably in the near future, if this kind of rhetoric continues and this is the course we're on, I won't exist on these platforms very long.
Yeah.
I've already got 2 strikes on YouTube.
House Leotardo asked, how long does the link stay active? Are you talking about, I'm like I said, I'm noticing I'm 10 minutes behind here on these chats, so I apologize, you guys. But you mean the Discord link? Hopefully it's still active. I selected one that like didn't expire, but sometimes they still expire them, and I've been using the same link for a couple months now, it feels like. So
let me go look. I'll check it out for you, bud.
Okay.
I was gonna say I'll drop a new one right now.
Small, medium, and large beards, LOL. That's funny. Elon wants.
Yeah, mine used to be bigger. I just had to get rid of it, man. I couldn't do the upkeep, so props to Chris for maintaining it.
I had somebody in the comments tell me that I'd probably have 50,000 subscribers by now if I cut my hair and shaved my face the other day, and I'm just like, I don't think I could ever do that.
That Discord link's working.
That's what?
Your Discord link's fine.
Okay, thanks for checking that. I appreciate it. Marcus said if. Oh, okay. Marcus said if Elon wants X to be the everything app, imagine setting up a bank account with X and then this. No thanks. 100% agree. Yeah, I do. I don't want any all-in-one anything, to be honest with you. It's a little too mark of the evil one, in my opinion. Just too much control. And I mean, you think back to the pandemic, what was going on in China, where they had to do the facial recognition thing, like to get on subways and all that stuff. And we kept hearing all those stories about people getting locked out of their accounts, because I think they have like one of those all-in-one type scenario apps, and people just getting locked. Yeah, WeChat getting locked out of their accounts and not just no thanks. That's part of the reason that inspired me to start raising chickens and raising the catfish like I do in the backyard, and get solar panels and a well, all the things you guys have heard me mention before. But if you're new to the chat, that was what kind of inspired me to become more self-reliant, more self-sustaining. And I tell you, I recommend getting chickens. It's a fun life. They're fun little creatures.
They're interesting, all right.
Oh, just as I mentioned that.
Getting some.
Oh, are you? Nice. Yeah, get you some. What I did was I got a mix of breeds. I got some heavy layers that'll lay almost every day, and then I got some cool looking ones that'll lay eggs like every third or fourth day or whatever. But they're fun. They're fun. Just avoid the silkies. They're too small when you put them in with the rest of the flock. In my opinion. Some people think it's fine, but if you're gonna do bantams or silkies, you got to have them all small. But just as I mentioned, chickens. TNT Cycle says, I just saw on X another Tyson chicken plant exploded last night. Hard to believe there's any left at this point. I didn't know that. Did not hear about that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one yet. So that doesn't surprise me, though. They're trying to screw with the food supply. Not that I'm not buying Tyson chicken anyway after all that bullshit they pulled with moving that plant from Arkansas to New York so they could hire all illegals.
Oh, dang, I didn't even hear about that. So much news to keep track of. But yeah, that's disgraceful. That is disgraceful right there. LOL Marble said Americans were never supposed to come dependent on fast food. Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with that. And then say what now? Said at Marcus, good point. How would you feel if he suddenly disagreed with thousands of users with bank accounts? He can lock them out until he gets the compliance. Yeah.
Here, say 5 Hail Marys to George Floyd and you can have your account back.
That's funny.
Yeah. I guess that's the reality of it, right? Yeah, I don't think you can do the all-in-one app, right? You can't put trust into it. Not when you see things like this, especially when it feels like it feels violating, right? Like I know a lot of people and it's not happening to me, but hopefully nobody can relate to this. When people say like they get their homes broken into for the first time, it's like a super violating feeling. It's like I don't feel safe there. It's like I've lived here my entire life, but now I just don't feel safe at all. Well, I think that's kind of happening to a lot of people on X right now with this censorship thing, where it's like I've been here for a couple years and it felt like it was very safe and we could do these things, and now it's like at any minute am I going to get nuked off this platform because I ratioed Elon Musk, or I said something that got traction that was anti Elon Musk.
Yeah,
it's just not a good position or feeling to be in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that, but now that you mention it, one of the guys I like to watch, his channel is called D-Day Cobra. Some of you guys might be familiar.
Jeremy, yep.
Yeah. He was talking about this a couple days ago. Maybe it's yesterday. I watched it yesterday, but I think he streamed it the day before or whatever. But he was talking about to your exact same point. He's like, I got to go through my posts, and I'm concerned about. This was him speaking. He was saying, I'm concerned about my account right now, and it's nothing that I thought I would have to worry about. And so, that's a lot of people are probably feeling that right now, unfortunately. Right. And one of your safe space now doesn't feel so safe. I can't believe it's your safe space. But Earl's daughter said, my first job was McDonald's in 1988. It was actually a great experience. My kiddos have worked at many fast food places during their high school years. So much mentally ill adult drama. So sad. Yeah, my first job was, actually I take it back. My first job was I was a laborer on a construction site, building apartments, but I only did that for a couple months during the summer. But my first job that I sustained for a while was working at Taco Bell, and got a lot of free food out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've actually tried to make McDonald's more of a, because it's always had that stigma, go work at McDonald's, so they've tried to make working at McDonald's kind of a more respectable thing over the last decade or so, maybe even longer than that. They've become more selective with their hiring and things like that. But that's them trying to stand out from other fast food, I think. Excuse me. Fire Farmer said nationwide sweeps of extended mass deportation. We should at least try it for a bit. Oh yeah. I think it'll be pretty easy. All you got to do is when you bust people that are illegal, send them out. I mean, that'll stop a lot of the crime on the front end. Knowing that, look, if I go and do this thing and get arrested, I'm not just going to get a slap on the wrist and sent back home. I'm going to be put on a bus and fed prison food until I get to wherever I came from. That'll
Yeah.
be a preventative measure. It'll make it safer. It won't get rid of as many people as the crime decreases, but that's when you move into the next phase, right? But a good starting off point, I think, would be just when you catch them, send them on out.
Yeah, well, I hate to be one to black pill, but I know that's my role here. Essentially, like that's essentially how I kind of commentate on politics. I don't think we're going to get these mass deportations. I think it'll be probably heavily restricted to like violent criminals. I think that's an easy position that most people can kind of agree with. Like, oh, hey, they committed rape or they murdered somebody. They'll be gone, right? Because obviously they weren't meant to be here in the first place, and they obviously annihilated their freedom when they got here. And I don't see it. I don't see people holding up to that emotional sentiment of like tearing apart families. Oh, they did nothing wrong. I think most people will fold to that, but I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope I'm heavily proved wrong on that.
Yeah, that
But
propaganda.
I was just going to say, I think that sentiment that people have where it's likely not going to happen doesn't aid the H-1B visa argument, where it's like, so not only we're going to have to accept the ones who broke into our country, but we're actively arguing and fighting for more to come in. It's like those sentiments just don't line up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's a strong propaganda that you're breaking up families. That hits a lot of people.
Nope. It doesn't bother me one bit. You don't have to break up the family. Take the kid with you.
Right.
Amen.
Well, and Tom Homan said, a while back, he's like, whenever I arrest somebody for a DUI, I separate an American family from their, American dad from his child when I send that guy to prison. So, I mean, what's the difference? I'm failing to connect the dots here. And so, I mean, it's a very easy talking point, propaganda point to debate and shoot down, but still, it'll be the thing that a lot of people hold true to or use as their reason for, fighting against the mass deportation. But we need it. I mean, we talked about it today in the Discord. There's an old video. I wish I would have thought to look this up, but there's a guy giving an explanation of immigration to a country, and he's using a jar and it's like marbles or gumballs or whatever. And
he uses different things. It's marbles, gumballs, sand, pebbles.
Yeah.
And he's showing how, when you think you can't fit more in, they can always fit more in, and it just takes up more space. And
yeah.
It's funny.
And it's just unsustainable at the rate that they were doing. At the time that he made the video was before Joe Biden. So now it's even more unsustainable. But Marcus Young said the guy in the middle should have an ASMR channel. It's the voice. LOL.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. LOL of Marvel said, what is ASMR? It's where people make like noises into the microphone. It's really weird, honestly. Sorry if you guys are into ASMR, but it's kind of weird.
From what I understand, but
the first time I came across it, some chick was going into the microphone. I'm like, what is going on? Why are so many people watching this?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I'm like the same way. It's like some people would do like the like eating hard candy, like ASMR. And it'd be like them like unfolding the wrapper into the microphone, and you get like all like the crinkling. Some people just have like different sounds that kind of like turn on the relaxing mode in there. But for me, I was always somebody where if I heard somebody like chewing gum from across the room, I'd start like gritting my teeth. I'd be like, make it stop. Like, I hate that sound. Some sounds are also like super grating. It's like, no way, I can't listen to it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
It's winter, keep the beards. Yeah, it's the best time to have it. In the summer, it becomes a different story.
Right. Definitely. But they don't even bother me in the summer anymore. Just one of those things.
I'm just a big crybaby.
I'm not going to make the Ohio State comment. Not going to do it.
Nope. Marcus said it's weird how Alex Jones hasn't even called out Elon Musk for censoring Laura Loomer. Then again, Elon is actually helping Alex Jones fight the legal battle like he did with the Onion. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you just don't bite the hand that feeds you, I guess. You know what I mean? But
man,
you got to pick your battles, and
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. I was surprised you went there, but I agree. I think a lot of it comes down to people are beholden to money over principle. Does it
Right.
matter? And you think if Elon and Alex Jones had this relationship where they're like, yeah, we fight hard for the truth, that Alex would think that Elon would have no problem if Alex started talking about the Laura Loomer situation. But then the omission of such makes you think otherwise. Maybe Alex Jones does think maybe this will threaten my company if I try to talk up, against Elon. And it just does that because there's no kind of like objective, consistent principle. And when it happens to the people who are like at the top of the top, like someone like Alex Jones, who a lot of people have looked up to for a long time, you go, that just sucks. It's like a sucky feeling, right? It's like never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's Kid Rock. That dude doesn't seem to disappoint. Although he did go back on the Bud Light thing. That sucked.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
they
was
had
the one
bowling,
thing.
He got bought off in a bowling thing with the CIA guy that runs Bud Light.
But Thomas Zett said apparently there's an app to
Okay.
warn them that ICE is coming. That's probably the CBP app, the one that they all have to they go through and they file for asylum through or whatever. It's such a weird thing. They download this app, they file for asylum. I don't know the process exactly, but essentially then they get their court date that they're supposed to show up to in 2 years, and who knows if these people really are who they claim to be. And obviously, in my opinion, they're not going to show up to their court date in 2 years. And
No, definitely not. And they don't hunt them down either. You know Myron Gaines? Are you familiar with Myron Gaines?
the name is familiar.
Yeah, he's like the guy who runs the Fresh and Fit podcast, but he also does like a legal hour and stuff too. He used to work for Homeland Security.
Okay, I do know who he is.
Yeah, he went on Tim Pool not too long ago, and him and Tim
Yeah.
Pool like don't agree at all, but they do agree a lot on stuff like with immigration. And he went into detail about how there's like all these like little small fights between like the federal jurisdiction and then like the state jurisdiction and then local jurisdiction. But ultimately, like it boils down to a lot of it's just like these guys aren't even like executing the law. Like there's already all these laws in the books, but they just choose not to do it. And there's incidents where, ICE will, like one he talked about where ICE like came and dropped off like 15 illegals at a local sheriff's department and said, oh yeah, we'll come back in the morning. And then they never came back. And so the sheriff ultimately just like let him back go or let him out because like he didn't have any kind of grounds to like charge anybody. And it's
Right.
like it's supposed to be an ICE's jurisdiction. And there's just a lot of these kind of like, whether it's dysfunction or malicious, I would presume it's a bit more malicious, but it's super unfortunate. And again, it's the reason why you see just so many issues happen. And then there's so much distrust in the system as a whole.
Abigail Shepard said less immigration, more cats. Or dogs. I'm a dog person. I got 3 dogs.
Any animal's good.
Yeah.
Angry Yeti, I thought I was your hero, buddy. No.
Atlas could do books on tape or narrate movies. That's true.
Yeah, I've thought about it before. I have.
You should just start reading books and recording it and putting like a picture that moves and make a new YouTube channel that's you just reading books.
That just like I could just use AI to like generate my own book and then just read whatever like slop it puts out, whether it makes sense or not. Maybe people will
Reading like
listen.
#1 sellers, man. People look to YouTube to get them for free instead of going on like Audible and stuff like that.
That is true. I wonder if I could get like what's the word? Like copyright struck for doing something like that.
I wouldn't think so because I'd have to look into it more, but you're literally with fair use, you are putting words into putting writing into words. So you're changing it. And that's what fair use is. You have to convert like the original or whatever. And so
Interesting.
especially if you put like a
an
different
audiobook
background
version.
and not like the words or whatever, or maybe if you had the words like scroll as you were reading it and you had just like, forest in the background or something like that, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Might be worth looking into.
Well, that's what
Those
when my
videos are
channel gets nuked, you'll find me there.
yeah, those videos are evergreen, so it's worth looking into.
Yeah. I appreciate
Although
the
you'd have to
idea.
sit there and read books, and I'm more of an audiobook person whenever I'm into books, but that's how I know that.
Okay.
First thing I do is when somebody recommends a book, I look it up on YouTube to see if somebody's narrated it before.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like
Maybe
the
I should.
classics you wouldn't have to worry about because their copyright would be past time anyway, or the copyright only goes for so long.
Okay. Well, I was wondering maybe if even if I did that, I could just like do the Bible. I'll just start with the
Yeah.
Bible, do different books of the
Yeah.
Bible.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. But like I said, those videos are evergreen. They'll last forever. That's sweet. My videos die on the vine within a couple days, unfortunately. That's why I got to produce so many. But Phil says here, remember the significance of Elon buying Twitter as well. The election would have turned out differently, in my opinion, not giving him a ticket to do whatever he wants, but I don't want to overreact. Yeah, and that's true. And that's kind of what Tim Pool said in the beginning of his statement was, you know, we got the Twitter files. We got this. We were allowed to set this mandate by electing Trump with Elon's help and things like that. So he's done some good things, but that just to my point is just we can't be satisfied, right? We pat him on the back for a day and then we move on to the next thing. We don't forget it, but we just have to demand the best out of these people. And you know, I know he's not a politician, but when it comes to the politicians, we definitely need to never let up. I mean, they do one good thing, and then tomorrow, we're like, "Hey, what about this? What about this next thing?" You know what I mean? So,
Yep. I'm on my house member right now has some not so nice emails from me because of the way they've been voting lately. So I made it very well known that I will work to primary them the next election if they keep it up.
yeah, and that's what Elon said too. I mean, he said that he would fund primaries to get, you know, anti-MAGA Republicans out. So, I mean, like I said, show me from the show me state or from the area. So,
Well, and that's what we've been saying about, you know, Vivek since he started running for president. You know, we were like, you know, he has the time now to prove himself to be what he says he is. So let's see him back up his words and actually follow through with it.
yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, well, I think the even bigger point here is like ultimately, does it even matter if the only reason that he helped Trump win the election was because he couldn't get in with the left like he had been previously?
mhm.
And if everything's just going to be warped and bent to what would best benefit those in the tech industry, and anyone otherwise than the American people, I guess what would it even matter if Trump won, especially if he doesn't begin to represent the things that people wanted him to be in office for? You know, I think Jack Posobiec had a great post when he posted, like it was like yesterday or 2 days ago, saying like, you know, I remember all those rallies I went to where everybody cheered on immigration. It's like that didn't happen. You know, people weren't going to Trump rallies because they wanted like more immigration. It was literally the complete opposite. And there's also this kind of narrative where like MAGA was all on board with all legal immigration, but no illegal immigration. It's like there was still a large portion of MAGA throughout this and through the campaign that was like, we don't want any more. It's gone on too long. Immigration's been an issue since Obama was in office. It's like we need a lot of hardcore policies to repeal these things back, go on the offensive, and start putting the American people first. So again,
Well,
we'll see.
didn't I just hear that Joe Biden just put out another like 1,500 or 15,000 trucker visas for foreigners?
It's trucker visas, and again, there was a bunch of other smaller ones. Luke Rudkowski actually made a good post about this. He actually went to the database of like visas that are like out, like ones that are like waiting to be filled or be used. There are some visas on there that like would pay a janitor like $23,000 for a year's salary, and then you look at like the median of a janitor like in America, if they were just like here organically, custodian, they would be getting paid like yes, right, same thing.
Janitor, if you want to be a dick about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I stole that from that movie. You guys know.
No, you're fine. But it was like the median pay for an American-born custodian would be like 41,000. And so it's like there's this incentive, and the people who bring in from the H-1B then are then under contract for being paid that. Like there's no negotiations there. It's like they agree that they will be paid for that amount of money, which would be 20,000. That's a huge cut. So why would you want to bring in an American who's going to be expecting 40K when you can apply for an H-1B visa and essentially adopt a foreigner and pay them. You can pay two of them for the price you could pay for one American. And like there are huge disparities too, like with truck driving as well. Truck driving, I think, is one. I think I have a chart actually. I might have saved it earlier. There's a couple industries that there's these huge kind of disparities. I'll go ahead and try to look for it real quick. Yeah, from AF Post. I'll go ahead and I'll share this tab.
Okay, real quick before we while you're putting that up there, Earl's daughter said romance novels that might tick the clock on some women, but there's nothing more romantic than the Bible, right? And then Thomas said 50 Shades of Grey, you would have millions watching. So yeah, start with 50 Shades of Grey, man. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm gonna kill my camera real quick. I'm still here, but I gotta turn this heater off. It's killing me.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're fun. I don't know about 50 Shades of Grey. You know how many times people have said I should operate like a sex phone line or one of those like 1-800 have like old horny women call you now. Like,
Your wife probably wouldn't enjoy that one.
No, she wouldn't at all. I wouldn't enjoy it. You know, just not for me. I would be more interested in doing something, like, fiction, like narrating a movie, like sci-fi genre stuff that's like actually like I would enjoy too.
Right.
But obviously there comes a point where if something pays like $300,000, as long as it's not entirely morally reprehensible, it's like, okay, maybe I'll step into it.
Right. Phil said, "Can we focus on?" I'm caught up in chat finally. Can we focus on illegals? We are speculating the worst. We are speculating the worst, and all that has happened in their comments on H1B1, which I myself was fully aware of and didn't think anything of it. Yeah, that's definitely. I'm more concerned about the illegals. That's definitely where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
I think we also need to worry about getting more manufacturing jobs back in the United States. Congress has screwed us so bad by sending so many jobs overseas that it's completely, that's another big thing that I would push for.
Well, and it falls under the same umbrella. This is just like on the tech side with the H1B, and where it's kind of being currently targeted now, but the same thing applies where, a lot of our higher up individuals moved their manufacturing facilities elsewhere because they wanted to take advantage of how much their operating costs and overhead would decrease if they took advantage of putting it in any other country besides us. Obviously, that gets away from things like, different kind of labor restrictions and age restrictions and some of the more kind of like morally questionable spots. But at a bigger degree, it's like it's cheaper for them to operate so they can maintain these high profit margins. But all of it goes against the interest of the American individual, the American citizen. But I did find the chart, and this is the one that I wanted to highlight because it's got these massive disparities in it.
Okay, good. I was going to say I didn't see it pop up, but Angry Eddie said 50 Shades of Star Wars. That's more like it.
Yeah, I'll make AI like generate that for me.
Tix Bomber, hey, welcome in. Glad to see you here. It's okay if you're late. We don't mind. Yeah, made in America, American manufacturers. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
we need to be
for it, but people would be making the money because they have the jobs to cover it, so it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, I've seen some posts on X that are oh, you did stage that. My bad. I had to scroll down. I didn't see it. But I've seen some posts on X, some polls, and the majority of the people said they would be willing to pay more for American-made goods. So, that's just the small sample size, but it's something.
Right. And so what you see here is we're going to see like the median pay. So the median pay is going to be the average pay for the individual job that's listed here on the left-hand side. And the H-1B pay is what is going to be attached to the visa contract that gets applied and signed by the foreigner. Now, what you'll see here is a tech lead, right? This is going to be one of the big things that we're looking at here because this is what obviously Elon Musk is fighting for very ardently right now. And you can see the median pay for someone in that position organically here in the States makes about $190,000. But H-1B, you would pay a contract where they'd get paid literally half of that at $95,000. So now you can begin to see why there is such an incentive financially for these tech bros to be wanting this so bad and wanting the H-1B visas to be maintained where they are currently. This obviously extends to everywhere else. And as you can see, there's like, it just depends on, some of them are smaller and different. Some of them really aren't, like a project manager. There's really no difference there. But the majority of these, you know, on average, the H-1B incentivizes that the H-1B worker is a cheaper hire than someone who was here in the States. And, you know, it's not to say like these are not negotiable by the American people. But obviously, as an American person who may be already in the industry, you're moving horizontally. You go to, you know, you want to be hired by a different company, or you have an issue with where you're at currently. You're obviously going to be looking to be paid in that same age range. So when you're a senior software developer right here for 135, and you're looking to either move horizontally to a different company, you would expect to be paid probably somewhere around 130 to maybe even 140, depending on what the benefits may be. But if that company can not hire you, and instead get someone on contract with an H-1B visa paying $112,000, they're obviously going to take that $112,000 person. And this even goes outside the realm of like being discriminated against because you may just be a white American male, although we've seen that in huge amounts with DEI and the hiring kind of quotas they put in place in the last, you know, 8 years and a little bit before that too. This is why the American people and those who are America first are fighting so hard against this. Now, this is just in the kind of like tech industry here. And you can see on average, these positions listed as around 18%. I'm not sure if it's just these positions or if this may be the whole. But there are obviously other visas, like with what Chris had mentioned with truck workers, that there is going to be also more undercuts. And I think the median pay, if I can remember correctly, for a truck driver is anywhere between like, it's like 70 to like 80K. It might be more than that. But I think I saw the H1, the visas, and I don't even know if they're H-1B visas that were handed out. I think they fall into a different category, and there's so many different classifications. But for the truck driver, it's like 50K. And again, it undercuts and then incentivizes every truck company to not hire an American-born person, or instead, if the American-born person really wants to get hired, they have to step down to being paid 50K a year. Otherwise, why would you not, as that company, want to go along with the H-1B? So not only do you get the cheaper pay, but then you get to add a check mark to your DEI quota of saying, hey, I have this person from this country here. Like, look how diverse we are. So not only does it appease the kind of social credit system we've built, but it also appeases the financial incentive and the profit margin in maintaining that too.
Sorry, I muted myself when I was clearing my throat. Yeah, I love that chart. I was trying to make it as big as possible on the screen, so
this is bigger.
My apologies for all the screen changes that I was trying to go through there, but yeah, that makes it a little bit better. Dang.
Yeah, I don't know how to like do the zoom thing on the actual specific image.
No, you're good. I saw Thomas Zett mentioned president can say products like drugs, medical, computer are declared as a strategic asset and must be made in America. You know, let's get her done.
I think they should make all property in America should be considered a strategic asset and shouldn't be able to be sold to foreign companies.
Oh yeah, definitely. Should not be allowed to be sold to China. They shouldn't be holding so much farmland and all that type of stuff. That's for sure.
That's what they did in Arkansas.
Well, I do want to address one small.
Donnie said I skipped over his comments. Let me see.
Yeah, he said I could do R&B. He said I should actually step in and do faceless covers of R&B songs. I will never in my life do faceless covers of R&B songs. And if you do find me doing that, just know I was down on my luck.
He said a dude would make a killing if he had hit his face and released the R&B album swinging about "Baby Come Back" and "I Love You, Girl."
Yeah, no.
Oh my.
That's good stuff. I heard they removed the Rick Springfield Rickroll video from YouTube the other day. I don't know how long ago it happened, but I saw that they removed it.
Interesting. Somebody got offended.
They got tired of being Rickrolled. We just got to take this thing down.
I actually have a saved copy on my phone. Anytime I see a big account get like duped by a parody or something, I always like try to respond with the like a 20-second of the Rickroll. It's so good.
That's funny. Good evening there, Jet Lag. Good to see you. Well, Army, just me. What did just me said? I have too many friends who are truck drivers to ever support giving these jobs to illegals. Yeah. Yeah.
Sadly, there's illegals already in the trucking industry.
Well, I can't. I mean, you think part of. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
Oh no, you're fine. But I can attest. I used to work in shipping, and we used to get guys in there who could barely speak a lick of English. They couldn't write their name in English, so they would come in, and when they would sign for their load, they would put an X, and that was it, and then they would take off.
Oh goodness.
So
yeah.
The X became universal for I don't speak English.
Make your mark.
Okay. Well, we have an idea of who did this.
Universal for illiterate, or yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, trucking companies are smuggling them over and then letting them drive, getting them fake credentials to drive. And yeah, I've
What is your qualifications? Well, I rode 1,600 miles across the border into all the way to Iowa.
Yeah, but it's like, again, it's cheaper to pay these guys. You know, obviously they take on a bit of liability if like it gets found out and they got to report to somebody. But again, you don't speak English, it's really hard to interrogate somebody. They just have to go by like who owned the truck and who was renting the truck, where the truck is attached to. But you rarely kind of even hear about that, right? You rarely hear like, oh, this trucking company was busted. They were housing, 45 different illegals under their payroll. We're doing this. It's like you don't ever even see anything like that either. It just kind of shows you there's like a lack of will to even kind of like root these kind of stuff out. And one thing I did share this later on, but similar to the truck driving thing what we had talked about earlier, there's H-1B visas for like interns, cooks, custodians, dude, things that I even saw that was for like golf managers, like all these kind of positions where it's like Americans could like definitely fill these positions. Like, why do we need H-1B visas for positions that could easily be filled by Americans? And then it kind of then defaults back again to like, well, the reason why they must still be being utilized is because these companies are so just obsessed with ensuring that they can make money at the level that they are without, threatening their business model, that it doesn't, there's no interest in even benefiting the American citizen. They won't come up to the prices or wages that they need to make. Or that an American would demand to not have to work 2 jobs to take care of their family, to have like a living wage, and this is another point too, like we're so far away from like the average person being able to work 40 hours and then being a single income home that can provide for, not only just a wife, but children that come beyond that, without either A, the wife also having to work, or B, like the husband having to pursue like 8 to 10 to 12 years of education to take a very high level job at that. But then you have the cost of, you typically end up with these kinds of jobs, you then don't see the family, because it's very rare that you're going to be a doctor and then work a very like limited low hour schedule where you can go to your son's games and all that too. So there's all these kind of just conflicting things there. And then it does fall back on like, well, yeah, the average kind of like young man growing up in this country sees that, and he's like entirely demoralized by what's in front of him, that he's just like, why even try? It's like, I'm already hated by the media. Mm-hmm. I already have to compete against people even outside of merit. And now you have what they may not even be aware of is that there's like incentives to obviously outsource any position that they get to someone who's not even born here, that the company will go out of their way to sign a visa, an application to get someone from India, China, any other, insert any other country to come and take that spot from you. And it's just one of those things where it's like these small conflicts in the H-1B, I think, shows that original spirit of MAGA, where these people are like, dude, like we're so fed up with this. Like, I don't care what Elon wants to help benefit his company. I don't care if he even bought Twitter and he got us all this stuff. It's like, there's a breaking point somewhere in there where people are like, I'm drawing my line here, where it's like, you guys have lied to me too long. Trump was supposed to be this Molotov cocktail throwing at the system. And now Trump and everyone else who's in his ear is now repeating these kind of similar points that we would have got from Silicon Valley 12 years ago. It's like, then you have lied to us for our last time. And so I'm, a lot of people are pointing to like, we shouldn't go up in arms at this and stuff too. I'm of the opposite mindset. I'm of somebody who's, I don't care how cool you think Trump is. It's like, we voted for him to do a job. If he's not doing the job, I don't care how cool he may be or how great his campaign was or how cool it was that he worked at McDonald's. It's like, my children aren't going to suffer because you have to be beholden to the tech bros who donated to your company. And that's just the reality of it. It's like, there comes a point where you can't be friendly about it. It's like, you either fight for what your morals and principles are, or you just kind of like go, well, maybe in the next 4 years, right? And it's like, I think that we're running out of fuel for people to say, well, maybe in the next 4 years. And then we're looking at a bench of Republicans who we're going to be very unfamiliar with them. Like, Trump will be out of there. It'll be J.D. Vance or Vivek or somebody along those lines we're less familiar with. And when the Overton window's already shifted as far as it has, and we can see that we're adopting all these kind of left-wing positions, it's just like, where is the Republican Party? Where are the right wings? Let alone, where are the Christian conservatives in this? And I've said this previously too. Like, I don't want Vivek to be president. He's a Hindu. I don't want to keep putting people into office who are ideologically opposed and not aligned, not even opposed, but not even just ideologically aligned with what the foundations are in this country, because we're going to keep moving further away from it. We even had Ed Krasenstein in the Krasenstein Bros, right? And many other people like that too, who have been talking about how, like, well, the white race will be extinct at a certain point in time. And it's like, well, that's because you keep consistently pushing these narratives that I would deem the Babel agenda, which is this progressivism, which is, throwing away all cultural differences, throwing away any kind of national identity for the sake of progressivism, right? Like building the tower to God, like we're just going to keep improving the human race. And so many of these ideas are entirely outside of the realm of like Christianity, the human being and the existence of man being fallen beings. And it's like, I don't care if our country falls from like number 1 in production to like number 7. It's like, I want our country to be what it was supposed to be. Economic output is secondary to like honoring God. It's second to like getting rid of abortion. It's second to helping the American people. And a lot of people just don't like hearing that. But a lot of the times it falls back on the fact of, we've rested on our morals for too long, expecting people to do the things we wanted them to do, while actually never having anybody who even holds our values, but kind of like, expecting that they'll take care of it for us. And so it's a really unfortunate kind of predicament. But I think a lot of it does fall on the fact of so many people, men before me, probably other people's fathers included, generations in front of them, that kind of just abdicated their responsibility. And and this is what happens. It's like, if you don't care about politics, it doesn't matter, because politics cares about you. Someone has to stand in the line, right? Someone has to stand there. Evil reigns. It's always been a battle of good versus evil. And all it takes for evil to win is for good men to do nothing. And that's exactly where we are.
Yeah, that last line right there is so true. You have to toe the line. You can't just draw the line and say, hey, don't cross it, and you can't sit there and wave your "don't tread on me" flag and expect people to not tread on you.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Right.
Excuse me. It doesn't work in a lot of things in life. I saw Tix Bomber made this comment. Trump's biggest falter first go around was trusting the wrong people in the beginning. That set him way back. Yeah. And his other big falter, in my opinion, was he tried to appease the left. He tried to be loved by everybody, by the Democratic Party, who very obviously was never going to love him. Right. And he wasted way too much time and effort. I mean, he spent what, $50 million or was it $32 million on the Russian collusion investigation into himself to try to appease the left. Nobody on the right needed him to do that. It was to satisfy the left's accusation that he was a Russian spy, or actually, I think it was a Soviet Union spy was where it spawned from, the old Soviet Union. But so hopefully this time around, and he said this on Joe Rogan, that he has a lot better idea of the people in Washington and the pool that you can choose from of vetted individuals. And so hopefully he starts off better with the people around him. Obviously, we went through the rankings on the show in the past over his cabinet appointments, and we actually handed out a lot of Fs. It was about 50-50 Fs and then 50 D or above, to be honest, if I remember correctly. And so, hopefully he's, and that's holding out hope that these people are going to do better than we think that they are. But, and that's that's judging people by their worst moments in history as well, too. So, if people get on board with the people's mandate, hopefully we'll see a lot more success for the people this time.
Yeah. Well, I want to go to that one comment. There's a couple from Phil. I think this actually needs to see it's highlighted. Here's the one where he says the sky is falling all of a sudden. Let the guy get in and get rid of the illegals and get the economy going, or we can die on this H-1B1 hill. It's ridiculous. Tech jobs are readily available.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is I'm seeing the complete opposite. I'm seeing for people who worked in Apple, I'm seeing for people who were denied jobs at Google. I'm seeing many large accounts that I followed for quite some time who have been in the tech sector, who have told countless times and stories, and they've shown reports and messages from men who were denied on applications simply for them being white or just didn't know why they didn't get these positions. And then it's echoed by the fact of Elon Musk amplifying and boosting accounts that say it's because Americans are too retarded. I mean, literally those words were too retarded, calling them like subtards. And that's the reason why that Americans can't get these positions, even though when we have other evidence, and I'll put this on screen too, from U.S. college seniors, that show the fact that Americans and college seniors specifically that are in computer science outperform every other ethnicity group in the U.S. college system by a near standard deviation. So a lot of things just don't line up. And I know you're probably not familiar with it either, Phil, not to kind of like single you out as well, but I think people probably share the kind of viewpoint you do. I was very reluctantly to support Trump on a lot of different reasons. And a lot of them were the fact that I didn't feel like he was ideologically aligned. I thought that there was some kind of infiltration that happened to him early on in his campaign. I came from a bit more of the Christian perspective regarding the abortions, the kind of like waffling and actually non-committal stance to not wanting to push hard for a federal abortion ban, to do things that would actually help improve the birth rate in America. But they would all kind of speak that, oh, this is an issue in America, but we're not going to do the things necessary to improve it in a way that would actually be moral and just and would honor the foundation roots of this country, is just one piece of the puzzle. Now, I know that Worrell, maybe even Chris here too, have probably been with Trump the entire time and maybe been less so and less inclined to kind of impose him on those grounds. And I don't want to speak for anybody either, but I think there is a lot of people who are very, very pro-Trump regardless, because they understand that the left is just so bad. And I agree with that argument, which is why pragmatically it's like I will choose to lend my voice to Trump because I know it's better than the other option. And that's the downfall of picking between the lesser of two evils. But again, it goes back to the original, like, I don't, I'm not going to just side with Trump and be a yes man for him because like he's better than the opposition. It's the fact that he's always kind of sucked a little bit. He's not really a true Republican. He was a New York Democrat. There's always been ideological just differences that kind of conflict there. And now it's kind of gotten to the point where it's too much. It's kind of over the line. It's like now it's not even just abortion. It's moving to the immigration stance. It's moving to the non-committal to move to things like, the entire omission of like the family court issue, right? How men are destroyed in family court and all the things that come with that. There's so many other smaller pieces of the pie that you could go to where Trump is like not truly a conservative and definitely not a Christian conservative. And so from that perspective, it's like, yeah, I've reached my kind of like my limit of how much I'm willing to take from Trump, just not doing what I want him to do. But again, this also comes with the speculation that I agree. I would imagine Trump will come out and agree with Elon on H-1B visas. If he doesn't, then I hope he doesn't, and he can prove me wrong and actually kind of maybe speak to the American people in the original spirit of the MAGA base. But until then, we don't know. This is just kind of my prediction and my kind of feeling from the sentiments we've got recently. And it's not to say the sky is falling. It's been falling. America's in shambles. We were terrible in education, or the DOE has kind of destroyed our youth. there's a lot of issues that we've had. You know, suicide is the second or first leading cause of American men ages like 25 to 35. There's so many things that are like just inherently broken about this country. It's kind of wild to not say the sky is falling. Like it's been falling for a long time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading chat here. See here, I wanted to. I like Kenny's point here. He said, "I don't care about Indians or visas. I have a problem with Elon and Vivek thinking Americans are dumb and lazy because our kids play sports and have sleepovers." Yeah, I mean, I definitely I think that was bad taste from Elon and Vivek for you know, some things are just better left unsaid, even if it's what you believe. And maybe they learn that lesson. I don't know. We'll see. But I tend to agree with Phil a little bit when he says it was all about housing prices, food, gas, etc. Now Trump sucks, and the sky is falling. Well done, CNN, MSNBC. They still tame the narrative, and you know, and they're also saying that Donald Trump's not the real president. It's going to be Elon Musk. You know, so they're trying to drive a wedge between Trump and Elon. So we'll you know, time will tell. It all remains to be seen. But if you know Trump comes out here and he doesn't serve the mandate that the people gave him, I'll be the first one in line. And yes, I have been more pro-Trump over the longevity. Going back to you know Hillary versus Trump, there was no way I could vote for Hillary, so I was on Trump's. You know, I was on Trump's team at that point, just because I liked the guy and I didn't like her. And I think a lot of people voted for him in that election. They kind of when they pinched their nose and closed their eyes and hovered their finger over the button and then pushed it. You know what I mean? And then over the preceding 4 years, or the preceding, is that 4 years afterwards? I don't know. The 4 years after that, people grew to love him and support him a lot more than they did originally. You know, kind of solidified their vote. I you know, my wife probably doesn't mind I say this, but you know, she voted for Trump because I said we got to vote for Trump, but she didn't know, and she's like, "Really, Trump?" But then over his term, she realized how, you know, it really exposed how bad the left is, and not how great he is. One example that I like to call out was that when he signed that first COVID bill, my wife and I were both sitting here going, "What the hell are you doing, man? That is not good." And you know, so they want to say that MAGA is a cult, but and there's maybe some people like the far right fringe might be more cultish, but folks like me, I'll be the first one to call Trump out the second that he steps out of line with the mandate. You know what I mean? And I think that
I called him out when he was supporting the jab so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
He was saying that in his campaigns, and he got booed when he was going around doing his speeches because he kept championing the fact that he was, you know, the first president in history to you know, Project Warp Speed or whatever it was called, and finally people were just booing him to his face. And you know, that's not what a cult does. A cult doesn't boo their leaders. So you know, we're gonna be the first ones that call Trump out if he comes out here and lets us down.
Yeah, I do want to say I do hope I didn't feel like I was singling you out, Phil. I thought it was a great comment because I think it reflects a lot of the way that people do feel and probably will feel when they come and they're getting their version of like why do people oppose Elon Musk and like how it's going to break down. So I just wanted to point out, I think that you and many others, probably the majority even, probably feel that way about the current situation and think that the infighting is ultimately like dumb or takes away from like the main point. But I think the bigger point there too with the economy as well. People did vote for those things, right? Like the economy is in the absolute gutter. You know, gas, everything else, right? But I think that the immigration aspect in relation to employment is also a big significant factor on the economy too. And so I just wanted to make sure I'm not like, you know, making you feel like I'm singling you out or trying to attack in any way. But I thought it was a good comment to kind of break that apart.
Yeah, no,
Can I give my take here real quick, guys?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
anytime, Chris.
I'm trying to play more of a wait and see kind of thing before I don't want to rush into any judgments. I don't want to, I'm playing the hope he does what he needs to do thing. And I guess what the best thing we can do is give him the time he needs to make decisions and see where he goes with it. And then when he makes the decisions, we go from there. That's just the way I'm playing it at this point.
I think that's a smart way to play it, to be honest with you. And I think that's what possibly what Phil's kind of saying too, is we shouldn't be so concerned and caught up with this stuff. They still have, he's not even been inaugurated yet or anything like that. So kind of wait and see and, hold out hope and judge people by their fruits and not like what's going on around them or whatever. But crap, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else with that too. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and we've already seen the influence of X when it came to Trump appointing, I can't remember who it was, to his cabinet, and then he went and there was huge backlash on X. The public, dissent was like, we don't like this dude, and then Trump removed him from consideration or whatever. So we've seen Trump respond to the people already one time. And so, hopefully in the future, if the people disagree with the decision, they will come out and say it and send the message to Trump via X and through Elon that, look, we don't approve. We gotta do something different, and I'm hoping that actually affects Mike Johnson. I don't want Mike Johnson to be the speaker this next term. I don't want him to be the one starting out. I've lost faith in the guy.
He's a snake in the grass.
The fact that he went and used Democrat votes to pass the continuing resolution, I can't get with it. I don't like that.
Yep. I always knew it was a scam, but I mean, I don't expect that we even can get somebody who will take that speaker position, the way that it's kind of got to get confirmed. And it's hard to get someone in there who's going to not compromise with the other party, the opposing party. And it's part of the position, right? But it's the same thing with Kevin McCarthy, right? Like a lot of these like IOUs and pushing things because it's going to appease everybody, when we're at this point where these sides, they're so completely opposed to each other. It's like you're going to have to take some bad with the good. I don't think you're ever going to find a Speaker of the House that we're going to enjoy or be particularly fond of, just based on their position and what they have to do. So I think it's going to be a consistent cycle of like, put somebody in there who's not well known. Now they become more well known. Like, because who knew of Kevin McCarthy before he took the position? Not really anybody. And now he kind of blows up because of the Matt Gaetz thing.
And even more so Mike Johnson.
Exactly. But now we kind of know of him because of his, his prominence with this CR bill, along with like hanging out and being like the fourth person, like the third wheel with Trump and Elon and some of these like UFC matches and stuff too. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a constant cycle. We'll just keep recycling them because people are not going to be happy with the speakers do.
Right. And I got to admit, I'm not a fan of saying I don't like something. Like, grew up being a Kansas City Royals fan, and they fired their coach like every other year. And I got tired of people saying this coach needs to go. And then they never had like a replacement that they would suggest, right? You got to you can't just play Monday morning quarterback and say this guy sucks and he's out without having a suggestion on who should replace the person. And so if I had to say, so holding true to that myself with that belief, if I had to say who do I think that should replace Mike Johnson, I wouldn't be opposed to Byron Donalds. I really like that dude. And I think that he would have Trump's back, and he kind of represents more of the MAGA crowd in the House than some of these old school, Republicans. I'd love to actually, Thomas Massey's in the Senate, but I don't think he should do that job anyways. But, holding true to myself, I think Byron Donalds would be the guy. I wanted to wish Jamie good luck on getting a new apartment. She asked for that in chat. So, and then I see that Marcus Young is back. He said, sorry, guys, I'm back. I got stuck watching videos of Putin loving the Russian national anthem. LOL, the guy loves his country. Yeah, you got to respect that. I do respect that part of his patriotism to his own country. You know, he's definitely, as the Russian leader, he's a Russia first, and I would like to see an American leader be as America first as Putin is for his own country. Not saying that
Right.
I like Putin or that he's doing anything right, but I do respect his patriotism for his own country, or at least is what he shows of it.
Well, I don't want to get into it too much because we obviously know it's one of those things where
Anytime you mention it, you become a yeah.
yeah. But there is, like, obviously we have issues here with the fact that there's dual loyalty and with a lot of our politicians. And that I think that extends itself to being against the American interest. I think we see a lot of that take form, and especially with what the cabinet picks were too. And again, there's just a huge amount of things I could sit there and nitpick about, like, why I don't really think that the America First, the people who claim themselves at the top, who say America First, are truly America First. But you know, like with this H-1B thing, it's speculation, and so I I'm a bit more quicker to judge and quicker to move because I try to, like, I guess, like, act on predictions and kind of see things before they kind of play out. But you know, it's probably best that most people kind of take Chris's position and just kind of wait and see. You know, the guy's not even in office yet. But again, I think with everything we've seen so far, it's just not a hard gauge to be like, well, it doesn't look good so far. You know, it's kind of like the guy on the bus meme where he's like, I'm in danger. And you know, like that's the kind of feeling of everything that's kind of surrounding it.
Yeah. Kenny said, well, this is one of those moments where people are telling Trump, but it's weird Vivek and Elon are using Democrat tactics, turning the H-1B visa issue and their comments into radical debate or racial debate. I'm sorry. And, you know, Elon's going even further and as it pertained to Laura Loomer, as we mentioned before, is kind of taking away blue checks and verification from these accounts that are opposing it. And then Phil asked, what do y'all think of Jim Jordan for speaker? You know, I'd like Jim Jordan. I grew up wrestling, so I respect a wrestling coach. And my wife actually really likes him. So, you know, I'd be all right with it personally myself. What do you guys think?
It wouldn't be too bad. But I once again, I don't know if he would be somebody who holds up to not compromising on things. I think Jim Jordan's a solid guy. He did a lot of stuff with the Twitter files. I believe in that initial run with the Jack Dorsey crew. Him with like Matt Taibbi, I think was the main journalist there who were uncovering a lot of the stuff between like not only just the Twitter files, but with Zuckerberg and the kind of big tech oligarch and that kind of monopoly that existed. But again, I don't want to burn somebody out who I think is a net positive, although there are probably some smaller disagreements, in a position that I just think it's inevitable that people will not want based on the amount of kind of like negotiating that's required, because I don't think you can be fully behind principle in that spot.
Yeah.
Can I touch on what
I was going to say, what do you think, Chris?
Atlas was just talking about with dual loyalties? I'm one that I've stated in the past that I don't think that you should be able to hold dual citizenship. Honestly, I think that just creates a conflict of interest, and it just gives people a way to run to do bad things here and then run out when they to a different country when they get found out.
I completely agree with
that
that.
should be something that's stopped.
Well, and to highlight your point too, I think you could even to take it even further. Brian Mast, and I cannot remember what position he was recently placed into. Worked for a former other country's intelligence agency. And at that point, it's like not only is it just like a conflict of interest on what country do you prioritize, right? If you were born and came from a different place and you have citizenship somewhere else, obviously you can burn one of those out. More than likely you burn the one out that you're currently in and you can flee back to wherever. But to also put someone in such a high position of power who was a former military member to a country that wasn't ours, like that's when it's like, I think that's an easy position to take to say, no, we shouldn't be putting people who were in other countries' militaries formerly in some of our highest offices in the land. I think it's an obvious kind of conflict of interest and should be something easy to legislate. I would really appreciate seeing something like that being put in a bill.
Yeah.
So I'm going to derail for a second because Kenny mentioned the Royals. I gotta say, he said my Brewers traded all their prospects and basically Ned Yost to the Royals for Greinke, and that's what won them the ring. Dang it! That is what won them the ring. Lorenzo Cain, Alcides Escobar, and well, I think there's a pitcher that came over as well. That you just got to say thank you. 2014 and 2015, when the Royals won the World Series, was the best 2 years of my life. So I'm not joking. Every day in 2000, I grew up a baseball fan. I was the kid that would go to the games early. I'd show up at noon for like a 6 or 7 o'clock game, and I'd get the players' autographs when they were showing up to the field. So I was there before them. I'd stay to the end. I'd get autographs after the game. I just loved the Royals. I loved baseball. And so they sucked for 35 years of my life. And then finally that 2-year run, they went to the World Series and lost in Game 7 in 2014, and then they won it in 2015. Was literally the best 2 years of my life. I loved every day watching the Royals play. So sorry to hear that you're a Brewers fan, but just so you know, it brought a lot of joy to my life.
Will,
Yeah,
I think
well-
you're misunderstood there. Massey is in the House, not the Senate.
Oh, he's in the House? I thought he was a Senate. I couldn't remember.
No,
I get them mixed up
Massey's in the
sometimes.
House.
Well, I
No,
he was
the
tapped.
Will. I was talking to Will. I didn't hear you say he was in the Senate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it too. I was just gonna say he got tapped to go into Doge. So I don't know if he's gonna give up his seat to take on a role there too. But that was one thing I wanted to bring up too, because I think Thomas Massey would be someone who would definitely be in opposition to the current stance of Vivek and Elon. So that would be kind of a cool development to see where Thomas Massey was regarding that, especially if they're going to be like the 3 top dogs in Doge.
I think we're giving up a lot of good people in the House and Senate that are going to, well, the House especially. I mean, we got to be careful because that's going to cause issues now where we've got to replace people and you're not guaranteed to get the people to replace that you want them.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree completely. So maybe he does both, right? Maybe he's in Doge, but since it's not like obviously a formal government position, maybe he holds both, and it's just maybe like less involved in Doge than what the other two are. I saw somebody said at age 50 years, I put these glasses on. I know my contacts got really bad the other day. I had to put them on. They're very reader glasses like.
Yeah. You
Whatever
did.
works, right?
I noticed it myself. I was wondering, are those blue light ones, or are they just for actual seeing?
Actual seeing, yeah, yeah. They're really small too. I don't wear them very often. You can probably see how tiny they are. They barely fit my head anymore. I had these in high school.
My glasses I had in high school are long gone. I don't know what happened to them.
Yes, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a very blind individual.
Well, I know what happened to him. Mine got broken. I went through glasses like crazy.
I see Annie's burnt candle said he or she. I don't know. I'd rather have Comer or Thomas Massey. Yeah, you could have Comer.
I'd be good with Massey for speaker. I think.
Yeah, I trust Thomas Massey. He's the only person that doesn't have a representative from AIPAC, if I remember correctly. Like he rejected it or whatever, and so
there's only a couple. I think it's like AIPAC is 97 or 98%. Every single politician, both sides of the aisle.
Both sides. So he's the only Republican, I believe. Then you're a woman, okay? Yeah, but do you know what is a woman? Okay, I'm just kidding. Don't. Yeah, Annie's burnt candle said down with AIPAC. Yeah, I agree. And so that's one of the reasons why I trust Thomas Massey. You know, ironically, when he went on Tucker Carlson and said that, it wasn't too long after that, which I'm not insinuating anything, but Thomas Massey's wife died, right? I think that's how the timeline went. So
it was quite coincidental.
Yeah.
to say
Yeah.
the least.
Well, I mean, the wild thing with that was when people even brought it up and they were like, well, that seems kind of fishy. It was like, it was obviously you get the tried and true accusations of being against a certain group of people. And it's like, it just seems kind of odd, right? Like that someone would point out something that most people weren't like paying attention to. But again, I do think it's, again, to go back to Chris's point, it's aggressive. I don't think that dual loyalty should be accepted. Dual citizenship should be accepted. Maybe as a citizen, just okay, but not to hold like some of these highest positions in the office, not as elected officials, because it's such a clear on its surface conflict of interest.
Yeah. Tix Bomber said, I want to know what. Go ahead. I was just going to read. Tix Bomber said, I want to know what the Obama chef knew. I think that might have to do with old
Michelle.
Yeah.
We were talking about that today too.
Yeah. Walked into the wrong room at the wrong time.
But
what were you going to say, Chris?
no, my thought ran out of my head.
Ah, that happened.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say I would love to see him get money completely out of the Senate. No lobbying, nothing. Get rid of all of it. Get rid of the stock trading. They shouldn't be allowed to trade individual stocks. They can get into mutual funds and stuff like that, but no individual where they can use their insider knowledge to do it. And get rid of all of the lobbying money.
No,
Yeah.
well, I would take it even further. Well, I would take it one step further. You know what's kind of wild is when you see messages when it's in different mediums, right? You'll see it's like, this is an advertisement from Steak, like paid for by this group, or you'll see it in most mediums with their videos. It'll be like, this was paid for by this, and it's because they're selling you a product, and it's kind of like, I forget what it's specifically called, but it's like a disclosure they have to have because it's like, it's not organic. It's like they're being paid to kind of advertise this product. So they'll put like, this was paid for by whoever, whatever. That needs to be applied to sentiment. When you go and you click on a Charlie Kirk video, that video better start with this message and these talking points were paid for by such and such. So people know that when he does say these things, or not to single out Charlie Kirk, but other individuals, all in politics, it's like, these talking points are brought to you and paid for by whatever group funded this person to say them. Because I would rather know that someone was saying something because they were paid to tell me that, rather than know like someone was paid to sell me a product. I think one of those is even like more important to know, especially when you're pushing something kind of wild too. Like when people are, they're talking about George Floyd for a smaller example, and it's like, this person was paid $8,000 by the BLM organization from Washington. Like, just so you know, it's like what they're saying is because they were paid to say it. And then I think people would have a lot more transparency.
Sponsorships like NASCAR.
Yeah. Right there on the car. I will say too, I will say to a lot of the comments in chat, it's an area that is not good form for us to say, but I agree with a lot of what I'm reading. And one of the ways that I can say it is it's just a YouTube thing, right? Look at who you can't criticize. Yeah. That's a good scale, a good measuring stick.
Yeah. If you wish to know who rules over you, simply look to those you cannot criticize.
Right.
I criticize everybody, so I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. My bad.
Right. Yeah, career politicians do come from the same school. It was Kerry and what's his name? Bush. They were both in like the Skull and Bones or something like that, the secret society thing. And if they ran against each other, it's just kind of like either way, you're electing Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I hate to do this, but I've been on live streams for 4 hours now, so I gotta hop up, go get some things taken care of, grab some supper. But
yeah,
thanks
man,
for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on here, man.
In a couple of weeks, I'm gonna hit you up. We got some important news coming out about the foundation that I want to share with everybody, with you guys and stuff. So
Cool.
But I appreciate it. Everybody in
Yeah.
chat, thanks. It's been great. I appreciate reading all the comments and seeing everything. And yeah, y'all have a great night.
You too, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you
take care,
being
brother.
here. I put Chris's link to his YouTube channel in the description on my video, so make sure you go and check him out.
I'm going
And
to
then,
tell you now, if you have easily hurt feelings, you do not want to watch me. Just being honest. You know, we're brutally honest on there, and there's a reason we already have 2 strikes, and possibly we'll get a 3rd one soon. But
hopefully
you know,
not.
we'll hope not. But yeah, all right. We'll see y'all later. Have a good night.
You
Yep.
too, bud.
Have a good one, Chris. Thank you.
Peace, y'all.
See you, bud.
Thanks for having me. Later.
That's funny. Earl's daughter says, I'm either too American, too old, or too stubborn to care about offending people with the truth. I love that. You know, that was the one. You guys remember, I was the one saying, wear your MAGA gear, wear your America First gear to Thanksgiving, and have the debate with your Democrat relatives at the table and correct their lies with the truth and be willing to have the conversation. And if they up and leave, you know, more mashed potatoes for you. So
Yep. Incitement
looks like Will's dipping out. Good. Thanks for stopping in, Will. Appreciate it. A lot of good comments there as well.
Yep. Take care.
You guys make sure you
everybody for being here.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, make sure you click that link to the Discord and join over there as well. It's been a cool little community that we're putting together. So let's see here. Gotta speak in code and stay ahead of the censors. Yeah, exactly, Adam. Gotta speak in code, right?
Yeah.
Sub. Yeah, thanks for the sub. Appreciate that. And just so you guys know, we both, Atlas and I, we stream to our own individual channels, and right now we're trying to get Atlas over 1,000 subs. He's, I think, about 90 away or so, and that's a big milestone for YouTube. So if you're watching on my channel on America First TV, please go over and sub to Atlas's channel as well.
Yeah,
help him out.
Thank you.
And,
I would appreciate it very much.
And vice versa. If you're watching on his channel, come over and check mine out. If you're on X, make sure you're reposting and liking and all that stuff. Just helps us reach more folks, and then it's a free way that we can help each other out, and that's what we need on this side of the aisle. We need to help each other out because we got everything working against us pretty much.
Yeah yeah, that ain't a lie.
But yeah, thanks again there, Will. Appreciate you. Tix Bomber said I got to do the Discord thing. I've been avoiding it for years. Yeah, I mean it's just a different way of, you know, communication essentially, but it's cool. We got a few different content creators in the Discord now, and it just makes for a good conversation, and we all have each other's back and stuff. So anyways,
Yeah,
it's also a way where folks can get in touch with us and potentially be a guest on the show and stuff like that. Because I'm seeing a lot of good takes in the chat and stuff. I don't think he's here right now, but he was here earlier. Leonardo Leotardo was a guy that we're probably going to try to have on soon because he's really informative and actually corrects me whenever I'm wrong sometimes, which I appreciate. Clarifies what I'm saying. What Earl's daughter saying? What's your channel name?
Yeah, Atlas Thugged. Marble put it in there, and I think specifically I don't have a space in there, so that might be the reason why you have a harder time finding it.
I
yeah,
think
Atlas Thugged, just how it's kind of written right here.
I tried to put it in the description. Did it? I don't think it links. Oh, it links to your X, I think, in the description.
Yeah. Well, if you find my X, you can. I have my link to my YouTube in my bio, so you can find me through there. And yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, the same thing that you said about Discord. You obviously have direct contact to us. We're both in there, along with the other content creators who are joined in too. Obviously the community and a lot of you guys, the recent chatters, the way you guys can stay in contact outside of just on our live streams.
Right.
The other thing too is obviously, like, you know, topic submissions. I know that one thing that we've been kind of getting a lot of is specifically like the marriage conversation with a few people in there. I'm blanking on the name of the guy who keeps kind of talking about it. I think that's an idea we need to explore soon. But same thing with like guest discussions
Fox.
as well too. Yeah, Fox. That's right. Fox Club, I think is his name.
Yeah, he changed it. He changed it to Fox F, and then I think he put his real name in there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fox F. But the same thing with like guest submissions too. Like obviously you saw Chris was just up here with us. You know, anybody who wants to or is willing or thinks they have enough to say, or really kind of swayed by a specific topic, you know, feel free to throw your name in the hat, and we can see if we can get you on our schedule between everyone else that we have going on.
Yeah, definitely. I know starting off in January, we got a few people lined up already. Not they're all tentative dates, but everybody was kind of wanting to hold off till after the holidays just because it was busy wrapping up the rest of the season and stuff like that. But we got some cool people, with some interesting stories, some other content creators that are looking to come on. And then Dan McKnight is probably going to come on again, hopefully soon. He got summoned to Mar-a-Lago, and I'm sure that last week or the week before, and I'm sure that added a lot to his plate with what they discussed and all that stuff. But I've been in contact, and one of these days we'll get him back on, and hopefully we'll maybe turn him into a regular guest. Same thing with Native Patriot. He got sick. He was like running 102-degree temperature for a few days, and so he had that going into the holidays. So hopefully we get him back on as well. And he has a lot of people. He runs the Patriots Prayer Network, or I don't know if he runs it. I think he did. I think he started it. And he's got a ton of content creators doing shows over there, doing lives and stuff. And so I've been in talks with him about having some, you know, we be on there, they be on our show, that type of stuff. Just like I said, once again, helping each other out, trying to spread the word and trying to do our little piece for the culture and stuff like that. So
yeah.
So I see a lot of people saying they subbed over there. Thank you guys for doing that. That's awesome. And let's see here. Something to think about. Kenny said something to think about when it comes to money and politics is what will be the impact of lobbyists or companies who pay tip dollars to manipulate algorithms. Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, there's so many avenues of it, and you know, that's one thing we hope Doge can come through maybe and help out with, and if not fix it, at least make things public. That's one thing they say about Trump. You know, he promised to drain the swamp during his first term. He drained the swamp. He wasn't able to remove all the swamp monsters, but he exposed them, is how it's said. And so now that these people have been exposed, they have to tread more lightly, and we're aware of them now. You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Right.
So it might just be the first step of the process, but hopefully good things in the future. It looks bright.
Yeah. Well, yeah. To pick up on what Kenny said too, I actually had a good video set aside from Owen Schroyer, who wanted an update on the censorship stuff. But to that point too, that was actually something that we didn't get to. You know, we talk about the censorship in general and people's check marks getting taken away, but that actually preceded it. What you're highlighting there, which is that if enough bigger accounts block you as an account, it will actually work to suppress you or effectively shadow ban you. And so that affects somebody like me in particular. After Calendargate, I was blocked by like people like the Redheaded Libertarian and a few of those other females who were on that calendar because they called themselves Christians and then sexualized themselves and sold themselves on a calendar. And I obviously didn't have I obviously wasn't cursing them out, but I didn't have the best words for them, kind of just like pointing out what I disagreed with.
Yeah,
so
people don't like if you point out the hypocrisy.
Right. And so
Especially
I'm blocked by those accounts. Well, and then recently I was blocked by Chris, the Billboard guy, and a few other people who are obviously larger accounts, and I'm blocked by James Lindsay, a few other people. And
Dang.
And so, yeah. And so that obviously will impact me if, you know, it's deemed that these large accounts have all simultaneously, not at the same time, but all have me on their block list. It will negatively impact my ability to reach out and freedom of reach or growth.
That's interesting. Well, why is it, you know, if it should work the other way, if that's the case, why am my tweets only getting to 2 or 3 people? I got 5,000 something followers on X, but my posts don't travel very far. And I actually have some cool accounts following me. I've bragged about it before, but Scott Pressler follows me, Native Patriot, John Cena, John Rocker actually just followed me. He just
No, yeah, John Rocker.
he keeps,
He was like the official cracker of the year for
yeah,
AV.
he keeps bragging about it.
That's pretty funny.
It cracks me up, man. I don't know, maybe some other ones too, but you know, those are some big accounts following me. Why are my posts getting seen by these more people? No, I'm just
Yeah.
being facetious or whatever. But that does suck, honestly. I can't believe that that's actually part of the weight in the algorithm. It makes it harder for smaller accounts to, you know, you got to be in line. You can't be a dissenter, according to the big accounts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, somebody that's always like affected, like ahead of me, who's like a bigger account, somebody like Jeff Younger. Jeff Younger is like blocked by a lot of the same people because, you know, I think me and Jeff are pretty similar in our ideologies.
Yeah.
Not 100%, but very kind of similar.
Well, the
And
funny part about that is those people would probably take up the mantle for Jeff Younger and his cause. You know what I
well,
mean? The
that's
people that have you
what
blocked, you'd think that they would,
well,
you
you
know,
would think. I mean, it's actually the opposite. And the reason why Jeff gets blocked actually more prolifically is because Jeff is one of the most like kind of well-spoken individuals. You know, he was like a teacher on these subjects. He went and gave speeches to this stuff. So when he like disagrees with somebody, it's not him like posting like I effing hate you. Like when he does it, it's like 2 paragraphs and it's like explicitly kind of eviscerating somebody on a position they hold. And so the person has to block them and hide the reply because obviously they want their post to gain traction and like not get ratioed. And so for someone like him who kind of puts things a bit more, whether it's in nuance or a bit more directly kind of breaking down an argument, it's like that's why they have to block him. That way he doesn't appear and then can't obviously engage in the future when they say things like that. And so I know you when you see, X is a really helpful barometer of transparency because you can obviously see all of the different actors in the ecosystem engage with each other. And just by proxy of being able to observe that, you can begin to draw patterns and draw conclusions from that too. And so I'm somebody who's kind of slowly kind of fallen away from most of the people I listened to, you know, hell, even like 3 years ago, just based on just the inability to speak on things that are obviously affecting people, as well as following the money, as Ian Carroll always puts it, and seeing that a lot of these people will always honor money before they honor principle. It's just an unfortunate reality of the world we live in.
yeah. Let's see. I was gonna say, I think I went to minimize the other screen and I made this one smaller. I wanted to. Earl's daughter said, "Good for you, Atlas. God will separate the wheat from the chaff. Don't be discouraged and stay true." That's a
I appreciate that.
wise words. Let me try to make this bigger again. There we go. Okay. Apparently, I had it magnified before and I didn't realize it, but I like it this size. On my screen, I can read chat better without having to get close and squint because I don't have my contacts in or glasses to put on. I got these glasses though. Should I wear them? They're my blue light blockers.
Oh yeah, you should, man. That's funny.
They were free. My wife gave them to me. I don't remember where she got them, but I think that's enough of that. Don't be taking no screenshots of me, people.
Already clipped it.
Clipped. Well,
I'm
that's
posting
funny.
a new Discord link for you ticks. I just saw that. I got to change mine. I think mine was the one that expired.
Okay. Gotcha. Let's see here. Kenny said no real organic growth, just like they use regulations to impede the creation of small businesses. You have to be pretty much rich to start a business, or you have to sell half to the investors. Yeah, and that's kind of how it goes with what we're doing. You know, a lot of Daily Wire is propped up, for example, by advertising dollars. So it's much easier for them to grow versus somebody like us who, you know, we're just I'm operating out of my spare bedroom, and I'm using a computer, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good computer, but I spent the last 6 hours, I spent 5-6 hours of my day yesterday and today combined trying to get it to turn back on. It was saying that it didn't recognize my hard drive, like it just wasn't even there. And so thankfully I was able to figure it out to get the show the show going, but I wasn't able to produce any of my videos for the day, which really sucks because I've been trying to maintain that 2 per day
But
ever
your
since.
camera's not turned off, so maybe
Yeah.
it fixed something.
Well, I did restart the computer right before the show. I remember to do that, and I was hoping that it would stay
Turn it
on.
back
Because,
on.
yeah, for those of you that don't know, if I don't restart my computer, for some reason, Streamlab or StreamYard will drop my camera from the screen like every few seconds or just kind of randomly, and I have to keep adding myself back in as the stream goes on. It's annoying. But Marcus said, "Am I the only MAGA who thinks Laura Loomer is a hottie? I would shoot my shot." Well, she would probably want me to dress like Trump.
Yeah.
Funny.
I agree with the second portion.
Oh, that's
No
funny.
competition for me, brother.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't think she's hot, but I've seen worse. Let's see
funny.
here. I click the Discord link, says invite invalid. Okay, sorry, I'm just not getting caught up to that. Classes increase your IQ. Oh, okay.
Yeah, very true.
And I appreciate you guys joining the Discord too. That's cool. I love seeing some of you guys that are in here regularly coming over to the Discord. It was, part of the reason why I got the computer on today was because of the Discord chat. I had JBWN. I call him JB. He was in there trying to help me. Who else? Yeti was trying to help me. Chris was in there. Yeah, Angry Yeti was trying to help me. And then a couple other people were just in there just chatting. But without everybody's help collectively, I would probably have already have my computer over at the Geek Squad and trying to do this from my old laptop. So. Oh yeah, Jamie was there. Yeah, Jamie was there.
Had to have done like solo casting in tonight if you didn't get it fixed. I didn't even realize what was going on because I was building the outline for today and making sure I knew what I was going to be talking about. And then I turned on the Discord. It's like 60 plus messages. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, we were in voice chat too. We had 5 or 6 people. A new guy joined today. He said he was going to be here for the show, but I didn't see him pop up and chat. Maybe he did, but he goes by a different name. But he came over. Can't remember who it was that invited him, but he got invited from some other chat. He wanted to kind of debate and talk stuff, and it ended up being a good conversation. So we all pretty much kind of ended up agreeing to agree.
He saw me and he was like, I gotta leave.
Halsey Tardo, she had practice plastic surgery to look like that. Yeah, according to Milo, she had a nose job to look more like Ben Shapiro's favorite country-ish.
Yeah, there's some pretty rough pictures I've seen of Laura Loomer from different time periods. It's just an unfortunate reality of when you start doing stuff for your stuff for your face, you got to start upkeeping it, or else you're gonna have like asymmetrical differences. You're gonna have lumps everywhere. It's just like, I wish women didn't feel the need to do stuff to themselves.
Yeah. Oh, Angry A said, about time I joined. My dad finally showed up to help with the plumbing. LOL. Yeah, you're putting in a new sink, right? I just did that last week. I had to put in a new sink. It started leaking. Well, it didn't start leaking. It was already leaking out of like the little part where you turn it, just out of like the base of it, and I couldn't fix it. And I'm pretty handy. I was like, all right, this thing is it's done. Time to get a new one. But then we got shark bites. If you guys don't know, shark bites or PECs. I went to tighten the new one on. I over tightened it and cracked the freaking connector, and so I had to order a new one, and we had to go without a sink. Thankfully, it was just in like the little wet bar area. It wasn't on the main kitchen sink, but I had to go without for a couple days. That kind of sucked.
Isn't the golden rule? What is it? It's like 90 degrees after you feel like you can't move it.
I don't know. That's probably a good rule to go by, but I've never heard that.
Yeah, something like that. I could be wrong on the degrees.
I tightened it as hard as I could with my hands, and then I put a wrench on it and was like, crack. Over tightened it. Thanks, me. Thankfully, those things are so easy to replace. But I had to wait a couple days.
Yeah,
New
it's gonna be
shut-off
hard.
valves, he said, but then the pipes burst in the wall. Oh, that sucks.
That does suck.
Well, you want to cover anything else? You want to wrap it up there? What are you thinking? I know we had a lot more in the outline, but we were able to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this was a good intro to everything that's gone on, and I obviously have everything kind of cataloged here. I don't expect this to disappear over the weekend. I
Yeah,
expect more to develop as we get closer to Monday. So, I would
definitely can get.
imagine we'll probably pick up on this too, and whatever else kind of news kind of follows it as well. One thing we didn't get to was the Trump article, um, because the New York Post had claimed earlier today that Trump actually came out in support aligning with Elon on these things regarding a phone call. But it turned out like the phone call was like there was no kind of questions asked, and it's like being framed really badly. So it seemed like a pot of fake news to me. Um, Especially because like it seems like Trump was kind of confused about what he was even being talked about. So kind of like to get an early like, oh look, see Trump's just like right here with Elon. Um, and so I wanted more to context to come from that, and so maybe we'll know more by tomorrow. I'm sure Trump's going to give a statement at some point because this has gone on to a degree where everyone's involved in it now. So whether he does that in person or in a speech or he does it on Truth Social or something like that, um, we'll get an answer in very soon.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, well, so we'll kind of put a pin in some of these topics because we can definitely revisit them on Monday,
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah, well, so we didn't even get into some of like the crashing out stuff too. I think TNT and a few others were in here were pretty kind of aware of that too. But a lot of the comments that were made by Elon that kind of really kind of putting the American people down, and especially deleting them after the fact. That people always have receipts. Um, and Andrew Torba is the owner of Gab. He's the guy who owns Gab, which is obviously the fallback for everybody once they get banned everywhere else, because Gab is definitely a free speech platform. He even came out and said something along the lines of like, I was in his position once where I was getting attacked all the time as the owner of this platform. It's to be expected that Elon would have some kind of emotional response regarding the way that he operates his platform, because he's like, it's new to him. He's now fully in the reins.
Hmm.
Um, but again, there's so much, and I just don't expect it to stop now. I expect honestly what will probably continue is these people who are saying it's an op or an operation, or that like this descent is somehow just like not real. That will be what carries on come Monday, and we'll probably see a bit more arguments take place, debates even. Maybe we'll get some stuff on video too that we can show and share with you guys. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll be on the lookout for sure. Hopefully, my computer woes are in the
Yeah.
past. At least I know how to get it back online if it does the same thing again. But yeah, turning it on and saying no hard drive found was quite concerning.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that'll give me tomorrow. No Chiefs game to distract me or anything like that, so I'll be able to brush up on all that, all the important stuff, and make sure we have a nice list of videos and comments and stuff like that, posts and things other than what we showed today. But yeah, I mean, it was wild seeing so many of these accounts come out here and basically toe the line for Elon here with this whole thing. And still, for me, it's been kind of a learning experience, like I said in the beginning. And hopefully we'll know more by Monday or whatever when we're back on. So I see Marcus said, thanks guys for having me. Yeah, of course, man. It's our pleasure. It's great to see you. And we'll see you on the next one for sure, man. It'll be Monday. It'll be Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So have a good night. And then so yeah, with that, I guess I'll just say let's wrap it up there, right? You can find me
Yep.
on America First TV on YouTube, also over on Rumble, and then I'm at Worrell on X. If you guys are on X, and then like I've said a billion times already, this chat. Go Pack Go. Oh, you remind me of my friend. No, I wouldn't mind seeing the Chiefs play the Packers in the Super Bowl and then lose. I have a friend. A quick story. Kenny said, "Go Pack Go." I have a friend who grew up in Kansas City, along with me and my friends, which I don't live there anymore. But he's been a Green Bay Packers since the whole time we've known him. Green Bay Packers fan. And he always tries to act like Jordan Love is better than Patrick Mahomes in the group chat. And we had this big back and forth going on and stuff. It's been a a hoot. I don't say that, but it's been a hoot. And so anyways, I really am. I like Jordan Love, and I think that if the Super Bowl colors predictions lines up, it'll either be the Chiefs versus the Eagles, or it'll be the Chiefs versus the Packers. So we'll see. But sorry you subbed. Thanks a lot for that. Appreciate it big time. But anyways, I was wrapping up. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and then Atlas, go ahead and tell people where they can find you, and we'll call it.
Yep, you can find me at Atlas Thugged on YouTube, and then on screen there, you can find me on X at Atlas_Thugged_. I'm a raging radical Christian nationalist, enemy of the establishment, and you can find a lot more radical opinions there. Appreciate everybody for being here. We appreciate the super chats, and yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. It's a free way of supporting us, and we will see you all next time.
Yes, sir. And Christ is King.
And Christ is King.
With war rolling Atlas Thugged, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.